Chapter 2963. Zichen's custom-made armor was very special, not only because he was a thunder warrior, but also because Thunder was a thunder warrior. Everyone had the power of thunder, but his thunder energy was different from Zichen's. The power produced by Zichen's thunder body was a very special kind of power, much more terrifying than all the thunder power in the world. Before Kang Emo tailored the armor for Zichen, other than the prerequisite of a powerful attack, there was another essential condition, and that was the capacity. If the material could not bear Zichen's power, it would be useless even if it could be activated. After all, it was not worth it to spend tens of years to make a set of armor that could only be used once. The wind message communication bead was made by Martin, and it could be used to facilitate communication. The group rested on a barren giant peak, and the main hall stood tall. In front of the giant peak, the monk was still refining the heavenly beast's inner core. As they went deeper, the shortcomings of his physical body became more obvious. Although his defense was still the strongest among the group, his attack was not as outstanding because of his physical body. This was unacceptable to the stubborn monk, and he desperately wanted to improve his physical body to reach the 7th grade as soon as possible. Zichen arrived, smiled at the hardworking monk, and entered the main hall. When he entered the hall, he saw that the others were gathered around a shining armor. Kang Emo held the armor and explained the special features of the armor to everyone, and there was an uncontrollable joy on his face. Zichen's arrival attracted everyone's attention, and Kang Emo immediately said, "Big brother, the armor is ready." The armor shone brightly. Although it was not matched with the corresponding weapon, it was already extraordinary to be able to make a set of custom-made armor in just a few decades. Zichen stepped forward and took the armor. At this moment, he could feel the connection between him and the armor, and it was like water. This was the special feature of custom-made armor. With a flash of light, the armor appeared on his body, replacing the original black robe. A strong aura was released from his body, and the people around him felt an obvious pressure. This pressure came from Zichen, who had not shown his aura yet. I can clearly feel that it's stronger than before, as if it's leveled up." Zichen nodded, and he was very satisfied with the armor. Seeing that Zichen was satisfied, Kang Emo also smiled. "In that case, let's go hunt the Sky Thunder beasts," Su Mingyao said, looking at Zichen. "Hunting Sky Thunder beasts?" Zichen was stunned when he heard this. He said, "We already have the armor. Do we still need to hunt?" "It's not the same. The materials from the heavenly thunder beasts can be used by most people. They can even have the attribute of thunder. They can be considered one of the rare common materials here." Kang Emo said, "I've refined 3 sets of armor these years, and I've also strengthened a lot. I should be able to refine the Sky Thunder Beast materials. Next, I want to use the materials there to make armor for everyone." Zichen nodded. Since the Sky Thunder Beast had such a function, he naturally wanted to see it. After a discussion, the group decided to immediately head to the Sky Thunder Beast territory. Zichen couldn't find that place, so he needed Kang Emo to lead the way. Sky Thunder Beasts were different from other heavenly beasts. They could be found everywhere. They lived alone in an area covered by endless thunder, forming an extremely large thunder territory. The thunder territory was extremely large, and it was located in the depths. The Sky Thunder Beasts there were one of the materials that the natives were most willing to see. In this area, the best armor was not the ultimate armor, but the custom-made armor. A custom-made armor made with good materials was even stronger than an ultimate armor. Those who could reach this area were at least rank 7. Because this area was close to the core city, Skyroad City, those who came were usually from there. Since the last time the encampment was destroyed, the Divine Legion had been recuperating and never set foot in this area. This was the first time in 100 years that the powerhouses among them were on the move. The leader was the Legion's strongest powerhouse, Whaley. He was known as the strongest powerhouse in this area, but in fact, he was very clear that his so-called strongest powerhouse did not include Skyroad City. That was the powerhouse's paradise, the final gathering place. The divine generals who came here for countless years all ended up in that place. If his previous glory was that he was once the number 1 on the general ranking, then in that core city, there were no less than 2 digits who were also number 1 on the general ranking. There were even more who were once on the general ranking. People from many eras gathered here. There were many talented people, and the number of powerhouses could be imagined. Apart from Whaley, Donder was also there. There was another rank 8, and the rest were all rank 7. There were a total of 12 of them. There should have been more, but 100 years ago, Zichun killed a few of them. Whaley, you're here too. An indifferent voice suddenly came from behind. Whaley turned around and saw a group of people flying towards him. The leader was the Blood Scorpion Legion's commander, Shuexie. Behind Shuexie, there were more than 20 people. Among them, there was one more rank 8 than the Divine Legion, and the rest were all rank 7. Whaley's gaze swept across the faces of the other 3 rank 8. He said, "So you're cooperating with the Devil Mountain? The rare Thunder Stone has appeared again. Of course, we're here to join in the fun. But I didn't expect you to be so well informed." Shuexie said mockingly, "I thought you thought of yourself as noble and virtuous, and had nothing to do with Sky Road City." Whaley said indifferently, "My information is far more well-informed than you think. For example, the Devil Mountain has suffered a lot these years. I believe you've suffered a lot of unrewarded hardships, right?" Behind Shuexie, a rank 8's face flashed with anger, but he didn't say anything. That year, they took on an assassination mission. They thought it was an easy task, and they could even get a favor. They didn't expect to fail time and time again, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Most importantly, these losses didn't exchange for any benefits. Instead, they were blamed and pressured time and time again. Shuexie said, "Although we've suffered some losses, people will remember. On the other hand, you guys may be slowly forgotten." Whaley smiled and said, "So what? When have we not relied on ourselves to get to where we are now?" Shuexie smiled and didn't continue the topic. The two teams moved forward. During this time, Shuexie and Whaley chatted casually. The two of them weren't enemies, but they weren't friends either. In front of them, there was a huge thunder region. There were already many people standing in front of the thunder region. The leader was an aboriginal youth. He looked at the two teams and said unhappily, "Why are you only here now?" Whaley didn't say anything. Shuexie smiled and said, "I came as soon as I heard the news. The journey was too long, so I was delayed." The youth looked at the rank 8 behind Shuexie and said, "You're the Mountain Ghost King of the Devil Mountain?" "Yes. Greetings, Mr. Wei." The ranked 8 Mountain Ghost King cupped his fist. "You guys are too useless. I hope you can achieve something after getting the Thunderstone." Mr. Wei said coldly, "Definitely." The Mountain Ghost King nodded with a flattering look on his face. Mr. Wei looked at Whaley and frowned. "There are too many of you. There are only 5 spots." Shuexie and Mountain Ghost King smiled when they heard this. Whaley, on the other hand, frowned. "Why? Are you unhappy?" Mr. Wei also frowned, and his face became gloomy. At this moment, a team appeared in the distance. It was an unfamiliar team, and the leader was also an aboriginal. The two sides looked at each other from a distance and were stunned. Chapter 2964. Zichun couldn't find the area with the Sky Thunder Beasts, so Kang Imo led the way. Kang Imo had never been there before, so everything was in his memory. When he was leading the way, Zhang Haoyan had been following beside him to prevent any accidents from happening. After all, there had been countless assassinations all these years. Under Kang Mo's lead, they arrived outside the area where the Sky Thunder Beasts were. Kang Imo had said that there might be others there, so Zichun, who had sensed others in advance, didn't pay much attention. However, he was a little surprised to see Whaley and Shuexie. These two were not commonly seen. As they walked forward, Kang Imo and that native youth looked at each other. Both of them were slightly startled, but they didn't stop and continued to walk in this direction. Everyone's eyes fell on them, and Zichun felt an obvious murderous intent in the middle of it all. This killing intent fell on him, and it was obviously directed at him. Other than that, there were several killing intents that fell on Kang Imo. Among them, the most obvious killing intent came from the native youth. "It's you." Just as Kang Imo was in a daze, a cold voice came from the front. It was the young man called Young Master Wei. Kang Imo raised his head and found that the other party was talking to him, so he was slightly startled and asked, "Who are you? I knew you wouldn't die so easily. I didn't expect you to still be alive. Young Master Wei looked at Kong Imo and sneered. Do I know you? Kong Imo looked at young Master Wei, his young face full of confusion. 20,000 years ago, we met, young Master Wei said. Kong Imo suddenly laughed and said, Then you've got the wrong person. It hasn't been 10,000 years since I was born. A cold smile appeared on young Master Wei's lips. It was a meaningful smile, but he didn't say anything. Zichun felt that this matter wasn't so simple. In terms of credibility, this young man with obvious killing intent should be more convincing. As for Kong Imo, perhaps some of his memories were sealed, so there was some kind of illusion. Beside young Master Wei, there were some other people. They looked at this young man, and their expressions changed. Vaguely, they seemed to have guessed the origin of this young man, and they were very shocked. You came at the right time. Did you calculate that a thunderstone would appear here? Mr. Wei asked calmly. The killing intent from before had already disappeared. There is a thunderstone here? When Kong Imo heard this, his face immediately lit up with excitement. He turned around and said, Big brother, the thunderstone can increase the success rate of refining equipment. The thunder force inside can also temper the body and increase the level of the body. It's a good thing and is extremely rare. Zichun nodded. He could clearly sense that the young man's killing intent had once again fallen on him. But he was not afraid. If the other party dared to enter, he would definitely capture the other party and ask him what had happened. The thunderstone is naturally a good item. However, it is a pity that I am the one who has the final say in this place. Furthermore, there is a limited number of spots. You guys cannot enter. Young Master Wei said indifferently. Kong Imo said discontentedly, You're talking nonsense. In my memory, no one is in charge of this place. Young Master Wei sneered. That's because there's something wrong with your memory. Now, this place is under our control. Oh, you may have forgotten who I am. My name is Yu Wei. Sure enough, they were from the Yu clan. A cold light flashed through Zichen's eyes. Kong Imo shook his head and said, I don't know you. Yu Wei said, It doesn't matter. This place is under my control. Considering that we are old friends, I can give you a few spots, but only a few. It's impossible for all of you to enter. Just as Kong Imo was stunned and at a loss, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind. Several people were flying towards them. All of them were indigenous elders. They were extremely fast. Seeing these elders rushing over, Yu Wei's expression instantly changed. He turned his head and looked at the group of people behind him. His eyes became extremely cold. Being stared at by Yu Wei, these people's expressions changed. They did not understand why Yu Wei was staring at them with such cold eyes. Before he could say anything coldly, those elders had already arrived in front of him. They went straight to Kong Imo. After carefully sizing up Kong Imo from head to toe, each of them looked excited. Greetings, young Master Kong. They bowed to Kong Imo one after another with an excited expression. Ah, who are you guys? Kong Imo, who was obviously still a young man, looked at these excited elders in confusion. Young Master Kong, who we are is not important. What's important is you. You are the young master of the Kong clan, and also the only son of the Kong clan. Young Master Kong Xian. An elder was so excited that he cried, Young Master, it's been 20,000 years. We have been looking for you so bitterly. The other elders looked excited, as if they had seen their loved ones. Yu Wei's expression was gloomy, and he sneered at the side. The others looked at each other. Some of the insiders were silent. Zichun did not know what was going on. He stood at the side and did not speak. Another group of people came from behind. However, after they noticed the scene in front of them, they deliberately slowed down and did not cause too much of a commotion. Zichen noticed that the weakest of these people were rank 7. There were some rank 8 and even rank 9. Clearly, their purpose of coming was for the Thunderbolt Rock that was mentioned earlier. But what was the purpose of rank 9 coming here? Could it be that the Thunderstone could help them break through to the God King level? I say, did you get the wrong person? I'm Kong Imo, not Kong Xian. Looking at these sad elders, Kong Imo explained, No mistake. Young master, you are exactly the same as your father when he was young. You are Kong Xian, and your father is our alliance chief, Kong Hongye. An elder said excitedly. Kongamo waved his hand and said, "You really got the wrong person. My father is not Kong Hongya. He is Kong Ziyuan." The elder said in a deep voice, "In this world, there is no second surname Kong." Kongamo looked very helpless. He turned his head and asked Zichun for help. Zichun said indifferently, "Elders, you got the wrong person. We still have to rush inside. We won't accompany you." "Who are you? How dare you speak to us like this?" The elders who were very polite to Kongamo earlier were much colder towards Zichun. Zichun said indifferently, "Who I am is not important. What's important is that you are blocking the way." "You." The elders were furious. At this moment, Kongamo said, "Please move aside. We are going inside to kill the Thunderstone. I heard that the Thunderstone has appeared too, but is there really a quota limit?" "Quota limit?" The elder was stunned. He asked, "Who said that?" Kongamo looked at Yue. "He said that he is in charge of this place. There is a quota limit." Chapter 2965. Facing the old men's scolding, Yue smiled, but it was a cold smile. However, he didn't refute. "If there's no limit, then we'll go in," Kongamo said, and was about to enter the Thunderfield. "Young master's servants can go in, but young master don't go in." An old man stood in front of Kongamo, intentionally or unintentionally blocking his path. "They're my friends, not servants." Kongamo was very dissatisfied. The old man immediately said, "Oh, friends are fine too, but it's too dangerous inside. Young master can wait outside and let your friends go in." Kongamo was very dissatisfied. The old man stood in front of him and didn't budge. Behind Kongamo, Zichun said unyieldingly, "Kongamo must go with us. It's young master Kong Xian." "Young man, pay attention to your tone," the old man said with extreme dissatisfaction in a strict tone. "He's Kongamo, not young master Kong Xian. If you want to find your young master, go elsewhere." Zichun replied indifferently, "How dare you disrespect young master? You're courting death." The old man's eyes flashed coldly, and his body surged with killing intent. Zichun's mouth curved into a smile, but it was extremely cold. "Courting death? Then let's try it." Su Mingyao reached out and pulled Kongamo back. What happened today was very unexpected, but no matter what, she had to ensure that Kongamo would be safe. "Bitch, take your—" The old man shouted angrily. But before he could finish speaking, Zichun had already disappeared from where he stood. Bang! A ripple spread out from the old man's body, and he flew backward. He couldn't finish his words. Whoosh! 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 At the same time, a black light wandered around the old man, and the defense around the old man constantly rippled. The black light disappeared like a phantom. Zichun stood where the old man was, frowning. Although he didn't use his full strength just now, that attack wasn't weak either. It didn't hurt the old man. Zhang Haoyan's attack didn't break the old man's defense. The old man's body fell to the ground. After he flipped over and got up, his face was gloomy as he coldly said, "You lowly outsiders want to kill me? Don't you know that we're high and mighty, and we're here to restrain you?" Puff. As his voice fell, his gloomy face began to turn red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The expressions of the surrounding people changed as they looked at Zichun with fluctuating emotions. Yue stood at the side and watched this scene quietly. He was still smiling coldly. He was very happy to see such a scene. The others were silent, but their expressions were changing. Donder sighed with emotion. A faint smile appeared on Wei Li's face. "You must die." Zichun stared at the old man in front of him, his eyes filled with killing intent. "Just based on a lowly outsider like you?" The old man was filled with disdain. There was also anger in his eyes. "That's enough, Kess. Watch your tone. They are all friends of the young master." Another old man said angrily, "I'm not your young master, and you insulted my friend. Big brother, let's go." Kongda was obviously angry. He walked straight ahead. "Don't go, young master. It's too dangerous inside." The old man named Kess stood in front of him again. Black light surrounded the demon ape, and the black rod in his hand lit up. "How interesting. You call him young master, and are as respectful as an old dog." In the end, You are stopping the young master from finding his opportunity. The young master you speak of is really something. Yue finally spoke. There was undisguised mockery on his face. Kes said to Yue, "Shut up. Who do you think you are to talk to me like this?" Yue said indifferently, "Let's not talk about who I am for now. What I said is not the truth. The young master wants to go in and explore. Who are you to stop him? If the young master wants to go in, who are you to stop him?" Then, Yue looked at Kang Imo and said respectfully, "Young master, the thunderstones inside are very beneficial for refining weapons. They can also increase the level of refining weapons quickly. I agree with you going in and exploring." When these two natives were talking, the others didn't say anything. They were all divine generals. It was unknown if they couldn't interrupt, or if they didn't have the right to interfere. When Kes called him a despicable outsider, it seemed to indicate a certain attitude. "Get out of the way." Kang Imo looked at Kes, his young face full of anger. Kes naturally wouldn't get out of the way. If Kang Imo went in, only death would await him. "Kes, get out of the way." At this moment, the old man who spoke earlier said again, "Kappa, if you let the young master go in now, he will definitely die." Kes said with dissatisfaction, "Why don't you think about the young master's safety? I will send people to protect the young master." Kappa said, "Tua Ming, bring people into the thunder field to protect the young master." "Okay." A voice came from behind. "I don't need your protection. I am not your young master." Kang Imo walked forward and entered the thunder field. Zichan and the others followed Kang Imo closely. "Everyone, don't just stand there. Hurry up and go in to protect the young master." Yu Wei's gaze also swept around and fell on Wei Li and the others. "Let's go." Wei Li led the army and walked towards the thunder field. Blood Scorpion smiled coldly and followed. This time, there must be no mistakes. Yu Wei's voice sounded in their minds. "Everyone go in. Don't just stand there. Protect the young master first." Yu Wei said to the others, "You are really lucky. If the young master didn't come, how could you be so lucky?" After entering, the first condition is to protect the young master. Everyone had entered the Lightning Dominion, leaving only the natives behind. At this moment, the few old men looked very excited, as if they were really happy to find the young master. As for Yue, he had already sent a voice transmission to his family. After entering the thunder field, there were violent thunderbolts all around. Everyone raised their defenses and blocked the surrounding thunderbolts. "Sister, I'm sorry." Kang Imo looked back at Su Mingyao and said apologetically, "Silly child, this is not your fault. You don't have to apologize." Su Mingyao said with a smile. Just as Kang Imo was about to say something, another person entered the thunder field. Among them, there was a divine general called Tua Ming. He was wearing a custom-made armor and had an extremely powerful aura. Tua Ming was once second on the ranking of generals. He was ranked behind Wei Li. Luo Yi sent a voice transmission to Zichan. Clearly, this existence was already at level 9. Coupled with the custom-made armor, his combat strength should be extremely powerful. Zichan did not stop and gestured for everyone to continue going in. Tua Ming led the others and followed behind. Then, the others entered one after another. After entering, they followed far behind and did not come forward. Looking at their expressions, it seemed like they were all here to protect Kang Imo. However, Zichan knew very well that many of them had killing intent towards Kang Imo. Be careful. There are far more enemies than you expect. At this moment, Zichan heard Wei Li's voice transmission. He immediately stopped and waved his sleeves. The others around him disappeared. Chapter 2966. Seeing this teleportation skill, everyone's expression changed. Their divine thoughts were suppressed here, so they had no idea where the other party was. Obviously, they had lost their target as soon as they came in. "Let's go." Tua Ming's eyes flashed with a strange light. He led his men and flew forward. Since the target was gone, he could not go back to report. After Tua Ming left, the others also left. No one knew if they were going to look for the Thunderstone or Kang Imo. Wei Li, you have to hurry. Shui Scorpion led his men and left. Before leaving, he said with a smile, "If we get there first, you will be in danger." In the blink of an eye, only the Divine Legion was left here. Whaley glanced at Donder. Before Whaley could speak, Donder said, "Don't worry. I'm not stupid." Whaley nodded slightly and said, "Let's disperse and look for our own opportunities." The team then separated. Even Donder and that rank 8 left alone. Whaley was the only one left here. He walked forward. Other people's divine thoughts would be affected here, but Zichen's spiritual thoughts were not. After taking the others into his world, he teleported. When he reappeared, Monk and the others also appeared. "Where's the Thunder Stone?" Zichen looked at Kongamo and asked. "I'm not sure. It should be in the depths." Kongamo said. After all, he had never been here before. Everything he knew was from his memory. What's wrong with that old man's defense? Why can't I break it? Zhang Haoyan asked the question in his mind. The others were also puzzled. With Zhang Haoyan's current combat strength, it was easy for him to kill a rank 7 expert. However, he could not break the old man's defense even with the 9 extremities weapon. The natives here have a refining field after awakening. This field has an absolute restraining effect on foreign divine generals. How should I put it? It should be deliberately targeted, Kongamo said. Why deliberately targeted? Devil Ape asked. In order to not be controlled. This was Zichen's answer. Obviously, this was because of the rules of the world. If the natives here could not restrain the divine race, they would be controlled by the divine race and then enslaved. With the restraining means, they had the capital to resist and not be enslaved. Therefore, they thought themselves superior and felt that the outsiders were lowly. This was neither good nor bad, and Zichen believed that this kind of restraint was not absolute. If one's combat power was strong enough, it was not impossible to break through the domain. There's a Sky Thunder beast 1,000 feet ahead. It's probably at the 7th rank. Demon Ape, you go and kill it. Zichen, who was spreading his spiritual senses, made a discovery. Zichen was a thunder martial artist, and this was the thunder territory. It was normal for him to be able to sense the abnormalities around him with his spiritual senses. Blacksmiths are also divided into different grades. Right now, I am a 6th grade blacksmith. I should be able to barely refine materials for a 7th grade Sky Thunder beast, Kongamo continued. Aren't you already able to refine materials for the Wind Rhinoceros? That's a 7th grade material, the monk beside him said in confusion. The Sky Thunder beast is different. Their materials are more special and sturdier. Under normal circumstances, only 7th rank weapon refiners can refine them. At that moment, the sound of battle could be heard from afar. It was the battle between the Devil Ape and the rank 7 Heavenly Thunder Beast. However, despite its strength, it did not immediately gain the upper hand. Thunder, Xingqian, you guys go and help. Someone is coming. With Zichen's spiritual senses, it was obviously impossible for those people to go forward. Thunder and Xingqian went forward and joined the battle. After a while, the battle ended and the 3 of them flew back with the materials. Let's go. After the battle ended, Zichen led everyone to the next area where the Sky Thunder Beast was, and then arranged for everyone to act accordingly. Big brother, the thunderbolts here can also be used to temper the body. Kongamo reminded him as they moved forward. Zichen said, then let's take these thunderbolts away and leave them for everyone to slowly temper. He opened his world and began to collect the power of the thunderbolts. A huge vortex appeared in the air, and the endless power of the thunderbolts around was swallowed by the vortex. After these thunderbolts entered Zichen's world, they did not wreak havoc in the world. Instead, they were placed in a newly opened independent space. Soon, Zichen found that the power of the thunderbolts weakened significantly after entering the special space. This made him very surprised. He tried several times in a row, but it was the same. In the end, he had no choice but to give up and come to a conclusion. The rules of the 2 worlds were different. When the power of the thunderbolts entered his world, it would lose its effect. In this way, the method he wanted to let everyone enter the space to grow obviously would not work. Therefore, when everyone moved forward, they began to absorb the thunderbolts around them to strengthen their bodies. During this period, Zichen intended to impart the thunder physique to them, but found that it was impossible to succeed. Therefore, he settled for the next best thing. Everyone cultivated Ziqin's perfect physique. This was a technique from the heavenly book, so it was naturally powerful. They absorbed the thunderbolts as they walked. Demonic Ape, 3,000 feet to the left. Luo-Yi, 5,000 feet to the right. During this period, Ziqian would order others to kill the Sky Thunder Beasts when he discovered them. According to Kang Imo, the lowest level of the Sky Thunder Beast was 7th grade, and the lowest level of the people who came here to explore was also 7th grade. Undoubtedly, more than half of their teams had not reached the lowest level, so they could only wander around this area and wait quietly for everyone to break through. With Ziqin's spiritual senses, they could detect the Sky Thunder Beasts. On the first day, they harvested more than a dozen. During this period, 2 of them were killed by Ziqin, which was relatively easy. On the second day, they killed more than 20. This harvest was obviously not small. Halfway through, after discovering other people, Ziqin would deliberately lead everyone to avoid them. When they could not avoid them, he would teleport everyone. After half a month, everyone had gained a lot. They had been wandering around this area and did not encounter any other teams. During this period, Su Mingyao and the other 6th grade martial artists began to refine the Sky Thunder Beast's inner elixir. In addition, they used the power of thunderbolts here to temper their bodies. Their progress was very fast. After everyone broke through to 7th grade, Ziqin would go deep to look for thunderstones. On this day, Ziqin's spiritual senses detected someone in the distance. He was slightly startled, but he did not leave directly. After a while, the other party appeared in everyone's sight. It was Wei Li of the Divine Legion. "You're really here." After seeing Ziqin, Wei Li showed a smile on his face. "Why are you looking for me?" Ziqin looked at Wei Li. He did not have a bad impression of him. Wei Li glanced at him in private and smiled. "Come with me." Ziqin walked forward, and Wei Li followed behind. Chapter 2967. Hearing Wei Li's voice transmission, Ziqin was very surprised. Previously, he was very confused about why everyone addressed Kang Imo as young master, so he naturally wanted to know the reason. However, he couldn't guess Wei Li's intentions. The two didn't seem to have any friendship, so why would he be so kind as to tell him? If there really was a friendship, it was because he had killed many of the Divine Legion's people and almost killed the second in command, Donder. At that time, Wei Li had already proposed to use his protection of Su Mingyao and the others in exchange for Donder's life. Wei Li didn't seem to notice Ziqin's suspicion and continued, "Let's start with the alliance." There was an alliance in Heaven Road City formed by the natives. There were elders and leaders in the alliance, and they all had their own forces. The Kang family used to be the most powerful, and Kang Mo's father was the alliance leader. This situation continued for many years until a very big thing happened in the middle of it. As for what it was, there was no way to verify it. After that incident, the prosperous Kang family fell from grace. The members of the Kang family were targeted by the alliance. They were either killed or captured. Even the alliance leader was captured. After that incident, the Yu family rose to power, and the Yu family's leader became the new alliance leader. It has been like this ever since. Ziqin didn't understand and asked, since they joined hands to destroy the Kang family, why did they call Kang Imo young master? Wei Li said, "There has always been a rumor that what happened back then was just a misunderstanding. Everyone misunderstood the Kang family and caused an unjust case. However, the Kang family had already declined, and the alliance members felt guilty. They felt that the Kang family couldn't have no descendants, so they recognized Kang Imo as their young master." Ziqin sneered, "If they really felt guilty, why didn't they save Kang Mo's father? I think all of this was the alliance's doing, right?" Ziqin naturally didn't believe in guilt. If they really felt guilty, they wouldn't have waited until now. Wei Li looked at Ziqin with admiration. Just from some basic information, he was able to come to such a conclusion. This proved that Ziqin's intelligence was extraordinary. He said, "Actually, these are all rumors to the outside world. The truth is that the benefits between the alliance are unequal. At that time, the Kang family was too powerful, and the alliance gradually couldn't suppress them, so there was this talk of joining hands to suppress them. The so-called major event was more like a groundless accusation. However, the people of the alliance never thought that the Yu clan, which they had supported together, would be even greedier than the Kong clan. Therefore, under their intervention, not all of the Kong clan's people were killed. The Alliance Master was only imprisoned but did not die. All these years, the Yu family did not dare to openly search for Kong Emo, who might still be alive, because of the Alliance's interference. Similarly, when they learned that Kong Emo was still alive, they still didn't dare to directly send experts from Heaven Road City because of this reason. Zichen looked at Wei Li and said, "Do you mean that the reason those old men acknowledged young Lord Kong Mo's identity is to use Kong Emo to suppress the Yu family?" "That's right. This way, it would be perfectly justifiable. Who knows, they might even support him to become the Alliance Master." Wei Li said, "The reason why Donder attacked your people last time was that he wanted the Yu clan to owe him a favor. The Yu clan is too powerful, even more powerful than the Kong clan. Of course, those United Alliance forces are also not to be underestimated. However, no one can guarantee that none of them have been secretly bribed by the Yu clan." Zichen said, "Are you telling me all this to remind me not to get involved in this matter?" Wei Li shook his head and said, "No. I think this is an opportunity that you need to fight for." "What opportunity?" Zichen asked. "The key to the gate to the Divine King's world is in the hands of the Yu clan. This time, you have the opportunity to enter the trap. Maybe you can seize the opportunity to seize the key." Looking at the puzzled Zichen, Wei Li explained, "A 9th grade physical body is qualified to break through to the Divine King realm. However, the laws of this world are blocked, so no one can break through the laws. The only way is to leave this place and go to the Divine King's world. During this period, there is a gate to the Divine King's world. The one in charge of the key was once the Kong clan, but now the Yu clan. Without the key, you can't open the gate or enter it. Everyone here is a divine champion. Moreover, there is no exit here, so everyone is basically trapped here. In the era when the Kong clan held the key, although they still suppressed us, they also gave us fair opportunities. Since the Yu clan held the key, everything has changed. They gave others opportunities based on their preferences, which almost completely cut off our path. During this period, almost all the experts who gathered in Sky Road City sought refuge with the Yu clan, hoping that one day the Yu clan would give them a chance to enter the gate. This is also why all the powers want to establish a relationship with the Yu clan. Although I didn't agree with what Donder did last time, it was what most people did." Hearing Wei Li's words, Zichen was shocked. He didn't expect the Yu clan to have this ability. "After you leave, the Alliance's people will definitely bring Kong Emo into Sky Road City and use him to pressure the Yu clan. At that time, whether you want to enter the trap or not will completely depend on you. Don't expect the Alliance to give us many benefits after they win. You can see how they treated us outsiders before. Once they use Kong Emo to suppress the Yu clan, Kong Emo will no longer be useful. You should be able to guess what will happen to him. I even suspect that they'll bring Kong Emo back to negotiate. If the Yu clan is willing to compromise, the Kong clan may be destroyed." Zichen looked at Wei Li and asked, "Why are you telling me this?" Wei Li said, "You're only a rank 7, but you can kill a rank 8. Your combat power is the strongest I've ever seen. I think you have the possibility of breaking the rules." The so-called rule suppression was naturally referring to the refining domain of the Aboriginals. Zichen frowned and fell into deep thought. Of course, before that, you need to ensure that Kong Emo leaves alive. These years, the Yu clan's power and influence is far beyond your imagination. Don't expect others to help you. You can only trust yourself and the people around you." Wei Li turned and left. Before he left, he sent a voice transmission. "If you plan to enter the trap, remember to call me. This time, if you enter, I'll bet on you and myself." Wei Li left, leaving Zichen alone. He frowned and fell into deep thought. Footsteps sounded. Su Mingyao, surrounded by energy, walked over and asked softly, "What happened?" Zichen shook his head and said, "We'll talk about it when we get out." Zichen didn't plan to think about this problem for now. Even if he wanted to bring everyone into the trap, the first thing he had to do was to raise everyone's ranks quickly so that they would have the combat power to enter the trap. After all, there were many rank SIXS in the team. Chapter 2968. Outside the Thunder region, the natives didn't leave. They were all waiting outside, looking very excited. This excitement naturally came from the young master's appearance, which made them see hope. Yue stood aside and didn't say anything. He glanced at the elders from time to time, then sneered. Yue knew what they were thinking and what their purpose was, but he didn't care. All these years, they had been playing tricks again and again. But when had they ever succeeded? He had already notified his family. Before long, many strong warriors would come here. When that time came, the Kong family's remaining members would definitely die. After this, the Kong family might disappear forever. Not long after, Yue's expression changed, because his family hadn't arrived yet, but the Alliance's people had, and there were many of them. Those who came were all divine generals recruited by the Alliance, and there were 8th grade and 9th grade divine generals. Although the Yu family had been the dominant family all these years and recruited many strong warriors, countless strong warriors had gathered in Heaven Road City. Naturally, some of them would accept the Alliance's recruitment. Kappa looked at the arriving divine generals and said loudly, "Quickly go inside and protect the young master. If anything happens to the young master, bring your heads to me." His words were very rude, but the meaning was clear. No matter what, nothing could happen to the young master. These strong warriors responded and entered the Thunder region one after another. "Little kid from the Yu family, did you inform your family to come here and pay respects to the young master?" An elder said to Yue, who was not far away. "Yes, they'll be here soon," Yue said, then sneered again. They would be here soon, but not to pay respects, but to kill. Zichun didn't continue to go deeper. He led everyone to hunt sky thunder beasts in this region, and at the same time, he used the lightning here to temper his body. His spiritual sense covered an extremely far place, and he found that more and more people were entering here, but he didn't know if they were friends or foes. Wei said that no one could be trusted, so they should all be enemies. During this period, he led everyone to hide twice, avoiding everyone. But because of this, everyone's harvest obviously decreased. Sometimes, when they found a sky thunder beast, others would pass by coincidentally, so they could only give up. Further in was the area of 8th grade sky thunder beasts. Except for Zichun, the others didn't have the strength to kill 8th grade sky thunder beasts. They stayed in this area for several months. Then, there were fewer and fewer people. They must have gone deeper. After Wei appeared last time, he didn't appear again. In the time that followed, everyone broke through to rank 7 one after another. It had to be said that this thunder territory could improve one's physical body very quickly, especially for those rank 6 martial artists. At this point, all of them were considered to have reached the lowest level of exploration. After some discussion, they set off towards the depths. The deeper they went, the more dangerous it would be. Everyone was mentally prepared for this. When they went deeper, Zichun found that they only encountered level 7 heavenly thunder beasts. During this time, he did not encounter any level 8 heavenly thunder beasts. As for the thunder stones mentioned earlier, he did not see any of them. After advancing in this manner for half a month, Zichun discovered that the number of lightning bolts in front of him had decreased. It was as if he had already left the lightning territory. Continuing forward, there was no longer any lightning in the surroundings. However, there was still lightning surging in the sky. From time to time, a bolt of lightning would descend, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. The aura here was much stronger than the outside world. After traveling for several hours, Zichun saw many people. They gathered at the front in groups of 3 to 5, either standing or sitting. They seemed to be very bored, and their gazes would occasionally look outside as if they were waiting for something. Suddenly, someone turned his head and saw Zichun. His spirits were immediately lifted, and he, who was originally sitting, stood up. The others also noticed the arrival of Zichun and the others and looked over. Their expressions all changed, as if they had been waiting for their arrival. Looking at so many people, Kang Emo was obviously nervous and stood behind Zichun. "Greetings, young master." Some of the divine generals at the front cupped their fists respectfully to Kang Emo. Among them, Zichun saw Divine General Tuoming and the commander of the Blood Scorpion Legion. The former's respectful manner was still acceptable, but the latter's respectful manner was obviously too fake. In addition, there were many divine generals that Zichun did not know. Their realms were at least level 7, and the highest was level 9. They were all very polite to Kang Emo. If Kang Mo's family was a superpower, it would be fine for everyone to be so respectful. However, this was obviously not the case. Facing this scene, Kang Emo was completely at a loss and hid behind Zichun. Zichun said indifferently, "Everyone, please dispense with the formalities." In an instant, Zichun felt many dissatisfied and cold gazes. It was as if they were all saying, "Who do you think you are to speak on behalf of the young master?" "Young master, the Thunderstone is in this open space of the Thunder region. We have been waiting for young master. Next, we will protect young master's safety and help young master obtain the Thunderstone smoothly." Tuoming walked up and said. At this moment, Zichun noticed that behind the crowd, there was a strange space whirlpool. The thunderbolts between heaven and earth were all swallowed by this whirlpool. There was a passage in the whirlpool that looked very stable. No matter what the purpose of these people was, they were undoubtedly waiting here and did not enter. No wonder they were not looking for Kang Emo previously. Obviously, these people had already determined that they would come here. Kang Emo looked at Zichun and obviously could not make up his mind. "Let's go." Zichun walked forward without any hesitation. Su Mengyao pulled Kang Emo, and the group followed behind Zichun. "Tuoming, right? Many thanks for this time," Zichun said with a smile as he looked at Divine General Tuoming. Tuoming shook his head and said coldly, "You don't have to do this. I am not helping you. I am helping the young master. Furthermore, I don't like you." Zichun laughed again when he heard that. His laughter was very loud. Many cold gazes fell on Zichun. In an inconspicuous place, Wei Li, who was standing beside Donder, shook his head. As one of the first and second ranked on the ranking of generals, he naturally recognized Tuoming and knew that Tuoming was proud and arrogant. However, if he underestimated Zichun like this, he would definitely suffer a great loss. Wei Li's gaze swept across the surroundings and felt the killing intent in many people's eyes. Clearly, these people would be the first to suffer. "What should we do?" Donder turned his head and looked at Wei Li. Wei Li said, "Let's just watch quietly. This time, blood will probably flow like a river." Recalling how powerful Zichun was in the past, Donder nodded his head in agreement. However, he was still a little hesitant. Of course, it will be the same when facing other people. However, this time, there are many rank 9 martial artists. That Zichun seems to still be a rank 7 martial artist. 100 years ago, he already had the ability to deal with rank 9 martial artists. I don't believe that he has not improved in 100 years. Under Wei Li's watch, Zichun and the group entered the space with the Thunderstones. As soon as they entered, the others could not wait to enter. Chapter 2969. As soon as they entered, they lost their target. Many people's expressions changed as they were shocked by the speed of Zichun's group. They didn't say anything and immediately flew forward. The real opportunity here was the Thunderstone. It could allow one to break through. Even for a grade 9, after refining it, there would be room for growth. Hence, if they couldn't find anyone for now, they could still look for the Thunderstone. Most importantly, there was only one exit in this place. They just had to block it at the end. So this is the Thunderstone. In front of Zichun, there was a palm-sized jade stone floating. The jade stone was surging with the power of thunder, and it was glaring. Under his feet, there was a grade 7 heavenly thunder beast. It had lost its vitality. After teleporting here, he saw the Thunderstone and killed the heavenly thunder beast beside him at the same time. With a flash of brilliance, Monk and the rest appeared. They saw the Thunderstone floating in the sky and looked at it curiously. Kang Emo said excitedly, "This is the Thunderstone. Refining it can improve one's strength. The effect is much better than refining the power of thunder here." To everyone, this thing was obviously an opportunity. Zichun grabbed the Thunderstone and said, "There are still a lot of them around. Everyone, form a small team and look for them separately. But don't go too far. Kang Emo, follow me." After Zichun finished speaking, his figure disappeared. At the same time, Kang Emo, who was beside him, also disappeared. Thousands of feet away, Zichun's figure appeared. The moment he appeared, a fist hit the heavenly thunder beast in front of him. With a loud bang, thunder waves spread out. The grade 7 heavenly thunder beast was sent flying. It fell to the ground and died. After collecting the corpse, Zichen also collected the thunderstone floating beside it. Not every thunderstone had a heavenly thunder beast beside it. Next, Zichen used his mind. His spiritual thoughts spread out continuously with the help of the world. During this period, he found dozens of thunderstones. To Zichen, this place was a paradise. His ability wasn't restricted at all. Whoosh! Kang Emo followed beside Zichen. His body was constantly shrouded by a ball of energy and then released. Every time his figure appeared, he would see the thunderstone. Every single time, there was never a time when he was free. At first, he thought it was luck, but it was the same every time. Gradually, a look of shock appeared on his face. In his memory, the thunderstone was a really good thing. Blacksmiths needed it, and so did those divine generals. It was very precious, so it was very rare. Unexpectedly, with Zichen around, everything became so simple. Furthermore, Kang Emo slowly realized that Zichen was no longer searching for a single piece of thunderstone. Sometimes, he would even search for a few pieces together. The flashing lightning was extremely eye-catching. Seeing that Zichen's harvest kept increasing, Kang Emo gradually became excited. With so many thunderstones, he believed that everyone would be able to break through again. Shwa! With another flash of light, Zichen arrived in the air and looked ahead. In front of him, there was a rolling thunderbolt. Within the thunderbolt, there were a total of 13 thunderbolts floating up and down. Obviously, this was a great harvest. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth as he flew forward. Shwa! 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 At this moment, there were rays of light flying from afar. They were extremely fast and landed around Zichen. Kang Emo looked at these people around him and realized that their expressions were cold and stern. There was an undisguised killing intent on them. Kang Emo remembered that before they came here, they had bowed to him and called him young lord. Right now, this killing intent was not directed at Kang Emo, but at Zichen. These people did not speak. They went straight for Zichen, as if they had an irreconcilable grudge with him. Zichen smiled faintly. Trying to fool him with these little tricks? That's not good enough. A ball of light flew out from his body and landed on Kang Emo. As Zichen moved, Kang Emo also moved with him. Zichen rushed to the front of a rank 7 and punched out. Thunder roared. This punch carried a powerful and terrifying thunder might. After feeling the power of this punch, the rank 7, who was originally filled with killing intent, changed his expression immediately. He turned from offense to defense. The long sword in his hand blocked in front of him. Divine light lingered, forming a god's light shield. The fist dazzling with lightning approached. Accompanied by a violent roar, the god's light shield shattered and the divine sword was knocked away. The lightning fist's momentum did not decrease and landed on the rank 7's chest. Endless lightning broke the armor's defense. The lightning force entered the other party's body through the armor. The other party coughed up blood and flew backward. His aura gradually disappeared. In the past 100 years, Zichen had killed countless rank 7 heavenly beasts. Relatively speaking, those heavenly beasts' combat power surpassed that of ordinary rank 7 divine generals. Unless the other party wore custom-made armor, they would not be able to block his Thunder Body's punch. As for custom-made armor, the natives of Heaven Road City were busy fighting for benefits. How would they have the time to make it for them? Even if they had the resources, it would not be enough. This rank 7 fell to the ground and died as expected. When the other rank 7 saw this, their expressions changed greatly. However, they did not give up attacking. Midway, 2 of them quietly changed their target. Kang Emo felt a bone-piercing killing intent. This killing intent made his heart tremble. At this time, he was shrouded in lightning and could not support his domain. Naturally, he could not form a restraint on the others. Roars sounded around him. Countless lightning bolts exploded and spread in all directions. It was as if a new thunder domain was formed here. The roars lasted for more than 10 breaths. When it disappeared, the lightning around him also dispersed. Kang Emo looked around through the lightning bolts and found that there was no one alive. Their corpses were swept back by the energy light and disappeared beside Zichen. Whoosh! At the same time, Zichen brought Kangimo and rushed into the lightning ahead. After taking the 13 thunder stones, they disappeared. After a while, a team arrived. Other than the bloodstains on the ground, they did not find anything else. Zichen used his expanded spiritual senses to quickly search for the thunder stones. Naturally, his harvest was getting bigger and bigger. Monk and the others formed a team according to Zichen's instructions and began to search for the thunder stones. Because their spiritual senses were suppressed and they could not teleport, their harvest was naturally not as good as Zichen's. Boom! Energy roared. A rank 7 Sky Thunder Beast was sent flying by Monk's light shield. Devil Ape rushed up and smashed down with the black rod in its hand. In the roar, some of the scales on the Sky Thunder Beast broke and blood splattered. Poof! Zhang Haoyan rushed up. The long spike in his hand pierced through the broken scales of the Sky Thunder Beast. A powerful force entered the beast's body. The three of them attacked one after another. After the Sky Thunder Beast fell to the ground, there was no sound. Monk flew forward. There was a thunder stone there, and he grabbed it. When he grabbed the thunder stone, he felt that there was something in the lightning above. Chapter 2970. The monk raised his head and saw the thunder stone as well. However, it was not just one stone, but one piece. To be more precise, it was a big piece, like a huge rock. If he cut this big piece of thunderstone, he might be able to get tens of thousands of small thunderstones. The monk subconsciously wanted to exclaim, but he immediately covered his mouth. He looked around and found that no one was paying attention to him. "Monster Ape, come here." The monk quietly shouted. Perhaps he was too excited that he forgot to send a voice transmission. The monster ape looked back at the monk and found him waving at him in a sneaky and mysterious manner. He frowned and said, "Do you want to take it all for yourself?" The monk was angry. He thought that he would get tens of thousands of thunderstones soon. Why would he care about one? Moreover, what did he mean by taking it all for himself? Was Lord Zhang that kind of person? Lord Zhang wanted to share some benefits with you, but you thought so lowly of Lord Zhang. Just as the monk was thinking about what words to use to criticize and educate the monster ape, to make him realize his mistake, and at the same time, to show his noble, selfless, generous, and magnanimous identity, a powerful force suddenly appeared and fell on him. The monk's body flew out uncontrollably. A powerful force entered his body through the upper armor and kept surging. Blood spurted out of his mouth. His body fell to the ground, and a deep pit appeared on the ground. Smoke and dust were rolling in the deep pit. Who sneak attacked Lord Zhang? The monk's angry voice came out of the smoke and dust. A powerful aura blew away the smoke and dust. His body soared into the sky. The monster ape held the black stick tightly in his hand and was already on guard. He stared coldly in front of him. Zhang Haoyan had disappeared. A man stood in front of him. He was an 8th grade divine general wearing a custom-made armor. It was the mountain ghost king who was with Blood Scorpion. In the past 100 years, his people had dealt with them too many times. Every time, they suffered heavy losses and never came back. This time, he came here personally. The mountain ghost king was very regretful that he did not see Kangamo. However, seeing these people was the same. He would kill them one by one. There would be a time when he would kill them all. However, he did not expect that the first time he attacked, he did not kill the strange Baldy in the upper armor. Hearing the monk's voice, he narrowed his eyes and said, "Baldy, your defense is not bad. Baldy, open your dog eyes wide and look carefully. I am your Lord Buddha. Does your Lord Buddha understand? I really don't know how you grew up." The monk's counterattack was naturally sharp. He didn't give the mountain ghost king a chance to speak as he charged forward. As he charged forward, the monk's body was shrouded in Buddhist light. A huge Buddha shadow appeared and slapped down with its palm. Buddhist light illuminated the heaven and earth. The golden light was resplendent as a huge palm descended from the sky towards the mountain ghost king. "You are courting death." Killing intent surged from the mountain ghost king's body. He clenched his right fist, releasing the aura of a rank 8. His custom-made armor lit up as he punched the sky. When the fist light met the palm print, a powerful force exploded. The Buddha light palm print was instantly penetrated. The fist light did not lose its momentum and landed on the Buddha's shadow. The Buddha's shadow shattered, and a powerful energy rumbled, turning into a storm that swept out in all directions. Tyrant rushed out of the storm with a shield of light in his hand. In an instant, he arrived in front of the Mountain Ghost King. Like a golden meteor, he crashed into the other party. Boom! With a loud bang, a powerful ripple spread out in all directions. The Mountain Ghost King was forced back. Divine light flowed on the surface of his body, neutralizing the powerful impact. This attack naturally wouldn't injure him. However, as in rank 8 with a custom-made armor, he was sent flying by a rank 7 Baldy wearing a nondescript armor. This made him lose face. At this moment, the heaven and earth darkened. Demonic clouds rolled in the sky as a huge black ape walked out of the clouds. It held a huge black staff in its hand and smashed it towards the Mountain Ghost King. The Mountain Ghost King roared as the patterns on his armor lit up. He punched out again, and a powerful aura caused the surrounding space to distort. Boom! With a loud bang, the demonic clouds scattered a little. The black ape's giant-like body was forced back a few steps. After stabilizing his body, an even more powerful aura surged from his body. At the same time, the surrounding demonic clouds became denser. The sky immediately darkened as if night had fallen. The black staff smashed down again, this time with an even more violent force. With another bang, the Mountain Ghost King's body was sent flying. The demonic ape's attack was very powerful, but it was obviously very difficult for it to break through in rank 8's defense. The Mountain Ghost King was sent flying, and his expression became even more unsightly. Before he could stabilize his body, boundless lightning surged like a chain connecting heaven and earth. A long spear pierced through the air. Lei Ting had arrived. They were originally divided into several small teams and weren't far from this place. When a fierce battle happened on one side, the other side could naturally see it and arrive in time. Boundless lightning flashed as Lei Ting's spear pierced the Mountain Ghost King's chest, but it was blocked by the armor. With a bang, the Mountain Ghost King was sent flying even further. Immediately after, Roy arrived and slashed down with his sword. The sharp sword swept past the Mountain Ghost King's neck. The sword light couldn't break through the Mountain Ghost King's defense and was shattered instead. The custom-made armor's defense was very strong. Coupled with the fact that the opponent was in rank 8, it was impossible for them to break through the Mountain Ghost King's armor even if they worked together. However, this still made the Mountain Ghost King furious. He was in rank 8, but he was humiliated by a group of rank 7. Boom! He stabilized his body and his aura fully erupted, becoming even more terrifying and powerful. Whoosh! At this moment, a green light appeared from below and quickly wrapped around his body. Chi! A sword light pierced through the air and hit the Mountain Ghost King's glabella, causing ripples. The Mountain Ghost King was sent flying again, but this time his body was wrapped by the green light. The other end of the green light was deep into the ground, so he kept spinning in the air. More attacks appeared and landed on the Mountain Ghost King's body. Energy kept rumbling, and powerful auras surged. The sound spread far and wide. Some divine generals in the distance who had heard the news were shocked at the sight of this scene. A group of rank 7 was attacking in rank 8. It seemed that the rank 8 didn't have any room to fight back. Fortunately, the rank 8 had custom-made armor. Otherwise, he would have died without a doubt. Immediately, someone recognized that these people were with the young master of the Kong family. However, the young master was nowhere to be seen. At this moment, many auras came from heaven and earth. There were 2 rank 8 and a group of rank 7. They had followed the Mountain Ghost King here with the Blood Scorpion. After they arrived, they immediately charged forward. Whoosh! Seeing people coming from the other side, Monk was the first to rush out. His defense was the strongest, so he always attacked first. Boom! With a loud bang, he was sent flying. Leave no one alive. Chapter 2971. The expressions of the surrounding god generals changed. It was obvious that the other party had come to help. If that was the case, this team was in danger. After all, they were all rank 7s. Apart from the trapped rank 8s, the other party had 2 other rank 8s. They could deal with one, but they might not be able to deal with 3 at once. Moreover, there were other rank 7s. Monk flew backward, stabilized his body, and rushed forward again. Swoosh! At the same time, Devil Ape also rushed forward. His body became extremely huge, and the custom-made armor on his body emitted a strong light. Boom! He exchanged blows with the rank 8s. There was a huge shock of energy, and a powerful wave spread in all directions. His body flew backward. There was an uproar in the distance. Although the 2 rank 7s did not defeat the rank 8s, they were able to face the rank 8s' attacks unscathed. This was obviously very impressive. The 2 of them blocked the 2 rank 8s, and the remaining rank 7s rushed forward. Thunder and the others rushed forward, and a chaotic battle broke out instantly. At the same time, the rank 8s who were entangled by the green light successfully broke free from the green light, and the aura on his body completely erupted. Seeing that the battle was about to be one-sided, a ray of brilliance suddenly appeared. In the brilliance, there were 2 figures. Seeing the appearance of the 2 people, exclamations came from all around. The young master of the Kong family had appeared. When they came in earlier, they had all seen each other, and everyone was saluting. They did not come here to look for the Thunder Stone because they were waiting for each other. Now that they had seen each other again, the scene of orderly saluting did not appear. In fact, many people were extremely indifferent. Seeing Zichen appear, Monk and the others immediately retreated. Everyone's expression relaxed. Zichen didn't ask why a fight had suddenly broken out, as it would be meaningless to do so. "You've finally appeared." Mountain Ghost King looked at Zichen and said coldly, his eyes revealing a cold, murderous intent. "You go behind." Zichen said to Kangamo. Su Mingyao came forward and pulled him behind her. Then, Zichen looked at Mountain Ghost King and said, "Let's start with you." Mountain Ghost King was slightly stunned. He did not understand what Zichen meant. However, in the next moment, he understood. Zichen was charging toward him. "You're courting death." The Mountain Ghost King shouted coldly. He was a rank 8. Why would he be afraid of a rank 7? In the next moment, he saw a battle armor appear on the body of the rank 7 Zichen. The patterns on the battle armor lit up, and lightning began to surge and rumble. He recognized that it was a custom-made armor and was a little surprised. After all, it was rare for a rank 7 martial artist to have a custom-made armor. However, there were actually several people in the opposing team. However, he did not care because he was a rank 8 and had an absolute level advantage. Moreover, he also had custom-made armor. He clenched his fist and struck out. The aura of this fist surged, and it was even more powerful than Monk Po's previous strike. Zichen also clenched his fist. Boundless lightning flashed around his body and gathered in his right hand before landing on his fist. As the fist moved forward, the surrounding space began to distort. Crackling sounds rang out continuously, as if the space was about to be shattered by the lightning. As the 2 powerful attacks collided, the energy waves continued to surge, forming wave after wave of fluctuations that dispersed in all directions. The crowd in the distance stared ahead, watching the 2 of them fight. The other 2 rank 8 martial artists did not attack immediately. Obviously, they wanted to see Zichen's skills. In the midst of the 2 attacks, the lightning on Zichen's body suddenly intensified. The power of thunder surged and enveloped the Mountain Ghost King in front of him. The Mountain Ghost King let out a cry of surprise as his body flew backward. There were remnants of lightning on his body that continued to wreak havoc. Fear appeared on his face. In this confrontation, he was completely suppressed. Swoosh! Zichen stepped forward again and struck out another punch. This punch was even more terrifying than the previous one. The battle armor on the surface of his body lit up. The Mountain Ghost King shouted to block. The fist light landed on his body, and thunder exploded with a rumble. The Mountain Ghost King flew backward again, coughing up blood as he flew. The crowd was in an uproar. They did not expect a rank 7 to be suppressed by a rank 8 martial artist. Zichen charged forward for the 3rd time. This time, he pushed the power of the custom-made armor to the limit. At the same time, the power of thunder form was fully unleashed. Boom! As the punch landed, heaven and earth shook violently. The custom-made battle armor on the Mountain Ghost King shattered. The powerful power of thunder surged into his body, destroying his vitality. The mountain ghost king's body fell to the ground with a thud. His aura dissipated. He was dead. 3 punches to kill a rank 8. Such a scene shocked the crowd. They did not expect a rank 7 martial artist to be so terrifying. Leave no one alive. After killing the mountain ghost king, Ziqian turned to look at the other 2 rank 8s and said coldly. One of the rank 8s had said the same thing earlier. Now that he heard the same thing, his expression turned extremely ugly. Ziqian charged toward the 2 of them. It was obvious that he wanted to fight the 2 of them alone. After Ziqian attacked, everyone except Su Mingyao attacked. Their targets were the rank 7s. Devil Ape and the monk could even fight against a rank 8 martial artist earlier. Now, it was easy for them to deal with a rank 7. Devil Ape smashed down with his staff, and a rank 7 was sent flying. He moved forward in a flash. The second strike landed, and there was a rumble again. The third strike landed, and it broke the armor directly. The fourth strike killed him. Xing Chun, Longhu, and the others all attacked. Their combat strength was very strong. At this moment, in a one-on-one battle, they completely suppressed their opponents. Such a scene shocked the crowd in the distance. They did not expect that those who followed the young master of the Kong family would have such powerful combat strength. When the 2 sides met, the battle continued. Rumbling sounds could be heard everywhere. At this moment, in another place, Shui Scorpion's expression was gloomy. He said coldly, Wei Li, are you trying to stop me? He received the news from the Mountain Ghost King and kept moving forward. He met Wei Li here. Wei Li, who was standing in front of him, said, Why do you say that? I just feel that we haven't seen each other for a long time. We should have a good chat. Shui Scorpion snorted and said, I have nothing to talk about with you. Wei Li said unhurriedly, There is. For example, we can talk about the situation in Skyroad City. Shui Scorpion said, The Yu family is the strongest in Skyroad City. Next, the Kong family will be destroyed, and so will the Alliance. Wei Li looked at Shui Scorpion and said, Are you sure? Of course. Shui Scorpion said with certainty, That's why you should get out of my way now. Wei Li said, I'm not here to stop you. I'm just here to advise you not to be used by others and put yourself in danger. Danger? Shui Scorpion sneered and said, I know what I'm doing. As for you, if you keep this attitude, don't even think about leaving. Wei Li said, This may be an opportunity for us. I think it's better for you to stay. That's right. I also think this is an opportunity, so they must die. After saying that, Shui Scorpion flew forward. Obviously, the 2 of them had different opinions on this matter. Wei Li shook his head and sighed. Chapter 2972. All the people Blood Scorpion brought this time were lying in a pool of blood. They were all killed. This included the 3 rank 8 martial artists. Many god generals came from afar. They did not step forward, not because they did not want to, but because they did not dare. The rank 7 martial artist in the custom-made armor had terrifying combat strength. He only needed 3 punches to defeat a ranked 8. Other than that, the other rank 7 martial artists were also powerful. They did not dare to step forward. Monk was collecting the spoils of war. Whether they were useful or not, he took them all. Blood Scorpion rushed over. After seeing what happened here, he was furious. His eyes locked onto Ziqian. You did this? He stared at Ziqian, his voice cold. Ziqian nodded. Blood Scorpion's figure disappeared. A blood-red light appeared in front of him, like a blood-red wave, sweeping toward him. Lightning flashed on Ziqian's body. The patterns on the custom-made armor lit up. A powerful aura began to surge. Boom! The blood-red wave came close and collided with the surging lightning. In the continuous roar of energy, Ziqian's body was pushed back. He was pushed back almost 100 feet before he could stabilize his body. This was his first time confronting a rank 9 martial artist. He instantly felt the difference between them. Die! Blood Scorpion stared at Ziqian. There was only murderous intent in his eyes. His powerful aura distorted the space around him. He rushed forward again and punched again. He used all his strength in this punch. A white mark was left in the distorted space, as if it was going to be shattered by the punch. Red light filled the sky like a rolling sea of blood, enveloping the surroundings. Buzz. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. Endless thunderbolts exploded. He pushed his thunder body to the limit. The blood-red light around him dissipated instantly when it met the thunderbolts. At this moment, the power of thunderbolts and the blood-red light each occupied half of the sky. The fist radiance with lightning flashed, releasing tricolored light. It moved forward. Zichun used all his strength in this attack. Not only the power of Thunder Body, but also the power of Yin-Yang Thunderbolts. Boom! The two attacks shook violently. Powerful energy waves spread in all directions, surging with a terrifying aura. Go to hell! The blood scorpion's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and the aura on his fist became increasingly violent. Boundless blood-red light was released. With a violent boom, Zichen's body was sent flying. When he landed on the ground, blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. There was indeed a huge gap between the 7th and 9th ranks. You damned bastard! Tyrant let out an angry roar as he charged towards the blood scorpion with the light shield in his hand. Looking at the incoming monk, a hint of mockery flashed in Shuexia's eyes. Bloody light flickered as he punched out. With a loud boom, the monk in front was sent flying backwards. There was an uproar in the quiet surroundings. The monk's defense was actually not broken. A rank 9 wearing custom-made armor, whose combat strength had reached the pinnacle of this world, was actually unable to break through the defense of a rank 7. Their gazes landed on the light shield in the monk's hand, and their expressions changed. Clearly, this light shield was no ordinary object. Not bad. This thing is mine. Blood Scorpion's eyes flashed as he looked at the light shield in Tyrant's hand. You! Tyrant sneered. After a short delay, Zichen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and leaped into the air. At this moment, after truly feeling the gap between him and a rank 9, he naturally had to use his most powerful means. A black light appeared in his hand, and a black long saber appeared. At the same time, the surrounding space was distorted, and the saber domain was about to appear. Seeing this, Donder, who was in the crowd, narrowed his eyes. He guessed what Zichun was going to do. Wei Li appeared beside him and stared ahead with a complicated expression on his face. In the past, Zichun was confident that he could defeat him. 100 years later, Zichun, who had a custom-made armor, believed that his combat strength would only be stronger. The blood scorpion was in danger. Stop! Just as everyone was looking ahead nervously, a loud shout came from behind, and a powerful aura emerged between heaven and earth. Divine General Tuoming had arrived with a group of people, including many rank 8 and rank 7. Wei Li turned his head and glanced at Tuoming, who did not notice him. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Tuoming's mouth, and he turned to leave. Before leaving, he glanced at Donder, who said, "Isn't it better to wait and see?" Wei Li did not reply, but he did not insist on leaving either. "What are you doing?" Tuoming came forward with his men and said coldly to the blood scorpion, "You dare to attack the young master?" The blood scorpion looked at Tuoming and said angrily, "Which eye of yours saw me attacking the young master? Can't you see that I'm taking revenge for my men?" At this moment, the ground was littered with corpses of the blood scorpion legion. Tuoming glanced at Zichun and his men and said unyieldingly, "They are the young master's friends. Attacking them is the same as attacking the young master. What kind of bullsh**t logic is this? They killed our men, and I'm not allowed to take revenge?" The blood scorpion was furious. Tuoming ignored the blood scorpion and turned to Kang Emo, who was behind him, and said, "Young master, you can come with us. I promise that no one can hurt you." Clearly, Tuoming was implying that Kang Emo should leave the team. Kang Emo peeked his head out from behind Su Mingyao. His young face was filled with determination. He shook his head and said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. I want to follow Brother Zichun." At this moment, everyone knew that the powerful rank 7 was called Zichun. Tuoming glanced coldly at Zichun and said, "If you leave now, I'll guarantee your safety." Zichun smiled faintly and said, "Okay, let's go." Tuoming said coldly, "You know what I mean." Zichun turned to look at Tuoming and said, "Sorry, I don't really understand. If you want to protect your young master, then go ahead. Here, there is no young master, only Kang Emo. He is our friend, not some young master. The coldness in Tuoming's eyes intensified. Zichen looked at him faintly. For a rank 7 to be able to look at a rank 9 like this, it was indeed extraordinary. Very well, I'm starting to admire you. You can leave now, Tuoming said in the end. No, he killed our Blood Scorpion Legion's men. How can we leave just like that? Blood Scorpion said angrily. Tuoming replied indifferently, if you want to fight, I can accompany you. Blood Scorpion looked at Tuoming and the people behind him. His face turned gloomy. He had suffered such a great loss, yet he did not manage to kill anyone. How could he accept this? However, it was obvious that Tuoming was also a rank 9. Naturally, he had the ability to stop him. From a certain perspective, Tuoming's combat power was even stronger than his. Next time, you won't be so lucky, Blood Scorpion said coldly to Zichen. It was obvious that he had silently agreed to leave. At this moment, Monk suddenly said, Wait, we can't leave yet. Everyone turned around and stared at him coldly. In an instant, many cold gazes landed on him. Chapter 29, 73. At this moment, Monk resisted the pressure and refused to leave. Everyone was puzzled. They thought that Monk was talking about the spoils on the ground that had not been completely collected. Obviously not. No matter how greedy Monk was, he knew his limits. The thing he was talking about was extremely precious. It was the entire Thunderstone. It was very difficult to see it from other places. It could only be seen from his previous position. Therefore, no one else had discovered it since the battle started. Monk wasn't sure if the Mountain Ghost King had seen it before, but he was already dead. It was meaningless whether he had seen it or not. Let's go. When Monk stepped forward, he turned to look at Zichen and transmitted his voice. Put the others away. Follow me to get the thing. What? Zichen asked. Monk's expression seemed to be very solemn. Good stuff. No matter what Monk's character was, the good stuff he mentioned was naturally extremely good. All along, this guy's taste had never been bad. Hence, Zichen's body flashed and everyone was put into the world. Then, he followed Monk forward. Under everyone's gaze, the two of them flew forward and stopped in midair. Everyone was puzzled. What did he mean by stopping? When they reached their position, Monk signaled Zichen to look up. The sky was filled with surging thunderbolts. Soon, Zichen found the thing Monk was talking about. A strange light flashed in his eyes. Hurry up. If we are discovered, we might not be able to leave. Monk transmitted his voice nervously. Swoosh. Zichen immediately soared into the sky. The power of the thunder body was pushed to the limit. The power of thunder rumbled and shook away the other thunderbolts in the sky. Everyone subconsciously raised their heads and looked at the thunderbolts in the sky. They saw a huge thunderstone among the scattered thunderbolts. Seeing this piece of unimaginable thunderbolt rock, everyone was stunned. Buzz. The thunderstone trembled and released a powerful thunder power. Zichen exerted force with both hands, and a powerful force landed on the thunderstone through his arms. Boom. The thunderbolts were violent. The thunderstone was shaken by Zichen. A black hole appeared out of thin air, and he sucked the super thunderstone into it. At this moment, when everyone saw that the thunderstones had disappeared, they recovered from their shock. With such a large piece of thunderstone, there were more than 10,000 of them. What kind of concept was over 10,000? At this moment, everyone's breathing quickened as they looked at Zichen with a different expression. Over 10,000 thunderstones were enough to trigger a bloody battle. His luck is too good. Whaley felt that it was inconceivable to obtain such a large piece of thunderstone all of a sudden. With so many thunderstones, even a rank 9 is useful. For rank 7 and rank 8, it's enough to push them to rank 9. Donder looked ahead and said, I don't think anyone will let him go now. At this moment, Donder noticed that even Tuoming was frowning because there were too many thunderstones. The eyes of the surrounding god generals immediately turned greedy. No one could ignore so many thunderstones. Go. Without hesitation, Zichen grabbed the monk and both of them disappeared. Whoosh. Just as the two of them disappeared, a sharp attack appeared behind the two of them, striking nothing but air. It was a rank 8 expert who was good at concealment and assassination. He appeared from the void. He attacked very quickly. Unfortunately, he still lost his target. His opponent ran even faster. After he appeared, he was stunned. Then, his expression turned sullen. With so many thunder stones, it was enough for him to advance to rank 9 and become the strongest expert in this region. Shwa. In the next moment, his figure disappeared again. It was unknown if he was searching for someone. Shwa Scorpion glanced at Tuamine, and the scarlet light on his body spread out. When the scarlet light disappeared, his figure also disappeared. Zichun and the monk teleported away. When they reappeared, the monk revealed an unconcealable excitement. "How was it?" The monk asked Zichun with an indescribable pride on his face. "What do you mean, how was it?" Zichun asked. "Thunderstones. That piece of mine is equivalent to your harvest in a few hundred years, right?" The monk said proudly. Zichun grunted and did not say anything else. After waiting for a long time and seeing that Zichun did not take any action, the monk turned his head and said unhappily, "Shouldn't we be distributing the thunderstones now?" Zichun, who knew what the monk meant, laughed and said, "Confiscated. You." The monk was enraged. "Let's go." A wave of energy wrapped around the monk's body. When they reappeared, they were in front of a rank 8 sky thunder beast. In the air, there was a big piece of thunderstone floating. The monk looked at the big piece of thunderstone and said in disdain, "It's too little. It's not even 1%. That piece of thunderstone was equivalent to more than 100 pieces. Although it was not as good as the one the monk found, it was still a rare opportunity. Of course, before that, they had to deal with the rank 8 sky thunder beast. Zichun went forward and activated his thunder constitution. The power of thunder was activated through the custom-made battle armor, and the power became stronger. His fist passed through the power of thunder and landed on the body of the sky thunder beast. Accompanied by the sound of thunder, the sky thunder beast was sent flying. The monk flew into the air to collect the thunder stone. Zichun's figure flashed and came to the side of the sky thunder beast. He punched it again. After a few punches, the sky thunder beast was killed. He kept the corpse and left it for Kang Imo to refine his battle armor. After the battle, Zichun teleported the monk to 2 more places. Each time, he found a lot of thunder stones. The monk was surprised to see Zichun not empty-handed every time. In this case, it would not be long before Zichun surpassed him in the number of thunder stones he obtained. After the battle, Zichun, who was about to collect the corpse, suddenly stopped and turned his head to look to the side. A red light appeared, and a person appeared in the red light. It was the blood scorpion. After he appeared, he stared at Zichun and said coldly, "Let's see who can protect you this time." Lightning flashed on Zichun's body. The monk and the sky thunder beast's corpse on the ground disappeared. A bloody light shrouded the world. The blood scorpion flew towards Zichun. Buzz. A sheathed long saber appeared in Zichun's hand. The surrounding space was distorted, and the saber territory was formed. He held the long saber and slashed down. During the slash, 8 saber intents surrounded him. In the territory, the long saber's power became stronger. There was a roar and the saber light shattered. The blood scorpion and Zichun retreated at the same time. Licking his scarlet lips, the blood scorpion said coldly, "You're not weak. Unfortunately, you can't kill me." Buzz. The territory shook again. The 8 saber ancestor steels released 8 saber intents. At the same time, a vortex appeared in the void. Rule power descended from the sky and landed on the blood scorpion, weakening his aura. This battle took place within the domain and lasted for a full hour. Chapter 2974. The people outside could see the battle in the territory clearly. Both Zichun and Blood Scorpion displayed their powerful techniques. It could even be said that they displayed their desperate techniques. In the end, Zichun paid a huge price for armor penetration and killed rank 9 Blood Scorpion. This scene shocked the people watching the battle from the outside. However, they did not feel fear, nor did they run away. Their eyes even showed excitement. This was because Zichen's custom-made armor was also broken in this battle, losing its function. At the same time, after he killed a rank 7 who was 2 ranks higher than him, Zichen was also seriously injured. There was an additional hole in his chest. The hole was surrounded by thunder force, temporarily controlling the injury. There was no trace of blood on his face. His aura had also become very weak. The battle earlier had lasted for a long time, enough to attract many people. Zichen, who had emerged from the territory, swept his gaze across the field. There were rank 7s and rank 8s, but no rank 9s. This was obviously not a coincidence, much less luck. Rank 9s were like orioles, waiting patiently. Are you treating me like prey? Zichen licked his lips. His expression was indescribably cold. A flash of lightning flew past, sweeping up the corpse of the Blood Scorpion Legion commander, Blood Scorpion, and flying back. From today onwards, the Blood Scorpion Legion had no Legion commander. Regardless of whether the others could leave this territory in the future and enter another, vaster territory, it was obvious that he could not go. There was murderous intent all around. It was the rank 7s and rank 8s who were watching the battle, flying toward this side. A strong pressure surged between heaven and earth. The murderous intent was like sharp blades materialized, appearing in all directions around Zichen. Zichen looked up at the sky. His gaze became even colder. The space around him was like boiling water, boiling and distorting. An oppressive aura emerged from his body. The god generals who were charging forward stopped one after another. Their faces were full of shock and uncertainty. Zichen could kill the rank 9 Blood Scorpion. Naturally, his combat strength was extremely strong. Even if he was in a severely injured state now, if he fought with his life on the line, he believed that he could kill some people. Thus, everyone hesitated and paused for a moment. At this moment, Zichen pulled out the saber in his hand. However, he did not slash in any direction. Instead, he used the tip of the saber to stab into the void in front of him. The tip of the blade pierced into the void, and his world began to tremble. The power of the world twisted crazily, and a ripple appeared. When the ripples fell, a black circle appeared and spread out in all directions. This was the spatial rending kill. Zichen hadn't used it in a long time. The black cracks spread in all directions and swept past the bodies of the divine generals. This was the result of Zichen using the power of the world. 2 different spaces were being cut apart, which was different from the real spatial rend. The cracks contained the power of the rules, and some of the divine generals were unable to resist the rules, and their bodies were directly separated from the middle. Wherever the crack passed, a black line streaked across the bodies of the divine generals in the distance, forcefully separating many of them. Cries of alarm sounded from all around. Even more people retreated in fear. They had never seen such a move before. It was truly too terrifying. Zichen looked at the panicked crowd around him, turned around, and flew forward. Lightning erupted from his weak body once again, surging and surging violently. The divine generals near him, who were lucky enough not to die, retreated in fear. Whoosh! Zichen moved forward rapidly. During this time, lightning flashed on his back, and the 12-winged heavenly thunder wings appeared. At this time, he didn't use the world teleport. It wasn't that Zichen didn't want to, but this space was sealed by some kind of divine ability, and he couldn't teleport away. After using the heavenly thunder wings, his speed was extremely fast, and he flew toward the horizon. Boom! In the void, a powerful aura spread out, and a rank 9 appeared in front of Zichen. Zichen changed direction without hesitation and used the extreme speed of the heavenly thunder wings. Even a rank 9 couldn't catch up with him. Of course, before this, he had to ensure that his injuries wouldn't act up again. When he flew again, a second rank 9 appeared. This was a strong man wearing custom-made armor, and he stared at him with a cold expression. Zichen changed direction for the 3rd time. At this moment, he could guess that he was surrounded by rank 9, but he wanted to see which rank 9 they were. The 3rd rank 9 appeared. This was a tall and thin man with a somewhat gloomy face. He held a divine sword tightly in his hand, and the aura of the divine sword and the custom-made armor merged into one. He was still some distance away, but he could already sense the strength of the other party. The other party looked at him, and a cold smile flashed in his eyes, and he raised the long sword in his hand. A sharp sword light pierced through Zichen's body at an incredible speed. Zichen's body disappeared into thin air, as if only an afterimage was pierced through. Zichen's figure appeared in the distance, and at the same time, a bloody line appeared. This bloody line was on his right shoulder, and it had been completely pierced through. His dodging speed was extremely fast, but the other party's attacking speed was even faster. The man holding the sword snorted coldly and watched Zichen leave. Zichen continued to change direction and met the fourth person. Then he changed direction again and met again. He met a total of 8 rank 9s, and they were guarding 8 directions. After they appeared, they closed in on the front. In the distance, the rank 7s and rank 8s were in a chaotic battle, snatching the bodies of those who were killed by the sky-splitting slash. As for Zichen, they no longer paid attention to him. The 8 rank 9s closed in, and Zichen stood in the center, the 12-winged heavenly thunder wings spinning behind him. His gaze swept across the 8 of them, and he said in a low voice, "Zichen will remember today's kindness and repay it in double in the future." "There won't be any future," the man holding the sword said coldly. "Today, you can't leave here alive." The other people's expressions were cold. Although they did not speak, their meaning was very clear. At this moment, a voice came into Zichen's consciousness. Zichen's expression was slightly stunned, and then he shook his head. No one knew why he suddenly shook his head. Far away, Wei turned and left. There was a smile on his face, and he was very carefree. Before he left, he glanced to the side, and there was nothing there. "I'm really looking forward to it." Wei left very decisively, and he did not think that Zichen shook his head just to be polite in the midst of danger. After he left, Zichen, who was surrounded by 8 rank 9s, disappeared. Teleportation? The 8 rank 9s were slightly stunned. They turned their heads and looked around, but they could not see anyone. It can't be teleportation. The space here is sealed, and no one can teleport away. A voice sounded in the rank 8's consciousness. However, if it was not teleportation, where did Zichen go? Immediately after, a few attacks landed in front, covering the place where Zichen was originally standing with indiscriminate attacks. The space there was constantly distorted, as if it was going to be pierced with countless holes. After that, these attacks began to expand, and then continued to spread until they reached the place where they were standing, but there was nothing. Zichen seemed to have really teleported away, ignoring the space seal. These rank 9s did not understand, but they could only give up and turn to leave. After leaving, they turned back again and repeated this 3 times, but they still could not see Zichen's shadow. Chapter 29:75. The surrounding space was sealed. If Zichen used teleportation to leave, he would be sensed by others. He didn't run away. He hid not far from where he stood before. The place he hid in was a world. The world didn't distinguish the level of the physical body. Everyone was at the 9th level of the Divine General, so no one could find Zichen when he hid in the world. As for the indiscriminate attacks of the 9th level physical body, they couldn't break through his world. He didn't hide immediately at the beginning because he wanted to see which 9th level physical body wanted to kill him. This way, he would know what to do. After killing Blood Scorpion, he was seriously injured. He was sitting cross-legged in the world now. Monk and the others walked over. There was no worry on their faces. Instead, they were smiling. This world was full of vitality, which meant that Zichen's vitality was also very strong. Nothing would happen to him. How was it? Monk looked at Zichen. Zichen said, "I was a little careless. I barely killed Blood Scorpion with the help of the armor. If it was the last battle, I might not have been Wei Li's match." Seeing the armor that he had painstakingly refined being destroyed, Kang Emo didn't feel depressed at all. Instead, he said with a smile, "Coincidentally, I have the materials to refine the Thunder Beast. The armor I refine next will definitely be stronger than before." Zichen's body glowed. The rules of the world were healing him. He looked back at Kang Emo and said, "Refine the armor for everyone first? It doesn't matter if one person is strong. Only when everyone in the team is strong can it be considered strong." Monk nodded and said in agreement, "That's right." Refine one for me first. Zichun said with a smile. These people don't include Monk. The others laughed when they heard that. Monk was very depressed. Although he had a strong defense, he did look cool wearing the armor. Su Mingyao looked at Zichun, who was weak and had many wounds on his body. She couldn't bear it and said, "Let's heal first." Zichun nodded and said, "We won't go anywhere. We'll refine the thunder stone here until we break through again." "What if this area closes?" Su Mingyao asked worriedly. "Then let's wait until it closes before we go out," Zichun said after thinking for a moment. The monk at the side said, "If that's the case, won't our losses be huge?" The monk's so-called loss was that he could no longer collect thunderstones. Zichun chuckled. "We won't. There are 9 rank 9s helping us collect them. We'll just ask them for them when we leave." "That would be great." The monk laughed. 9 ninth-grade martial artists. Just the thought of it made him feel generous. Next, Zichun used his rule power to separate the entire thunderstone into tens of thousands of small pieces and placed them there. These thunderstones were shared with everyone. As long as they finished refining them, they could get a new one. During this time, Martin and Lunk sighed. They had been in the Divine Legion for so many years, and their progress had been extremely slow. Who would have thought that after following Zichun, their progress would become so rapid? The thunderstones that he didn't even dare to think about before were now in unlimited supply until he broke through. They were already at the 7th rank. If they took one more step, they would be at the 8th rank. The realm that was once out of reach was now within reach. While everyone was cultivating, Kang Imo wasn't idle either. He began to refine armors for the others. What he needed to improve his level was proficiency. The faster he refined armors, the faster his level would improve. Zichun took out a piece of thunderstone and started refining it. Streaks of lightning energy entered his body and was then absorbed by the thunder physique, turning into his own energy. Everyone had reached the 9th rank of Divine General. The speed of their energy growth was already very slow. At this time, they were all polishing their bodies. Next, Zichun really didn't plan to leave this world. He began to refine the thunderstones endlessly. Fortunately, they had plenty of thunderstones to use. Kang Imo occupied a space by himself and opened up his own refining domain. There were all kinds of weapons and armors here. Some of these weapons were refined, while some were naturally evolved. It was very magical. He was refining a set of armor for Lei Ting. He seemed to be very focused. Lei Ting, Xingchen, Brilliant, and Bright Moon were surrounded by lightning. Lei Ting's progress was the fastest. Monk and the others didn't idle for a moment. They refined the thunderstones one by one. The first year had just passed. After careful consideration, Zichun let his avatar leave this world. Before leaving, his avatar changed his appearance. His aura was completely different from his real body. Naturally, he didn't have to worry about being recognized. He could go out and gather information. Secondly, he could get some thunderstones. The reason why he let his avatar go out was because Zichun realized that his speed of refining the thunderstones was too fast. His improvement wasn't as obvious as the others. If he didn't prepare in advance, he might run out of thunderstones before he could break through. When his avatar left, he wore armor and carried a matching long spear. He also carried a stone saber to prevent danger from happening. However, as long as he didn't provoke a 9th rank, with his avatar's ability, he wouldn't be in danger. Even if he encountered a 9th rank, his avatar wouldn't be afraid if he exchanged his life for his. Time passed. In a flash, 10 years had passed. During these 10 years, his avatar came back once and brought back thousands of thunderstones. This harvest was really shocking. However, in these 10 years, Zichun's consumption was equally shocking. He had used up more than half of the thunderstones that they had obtained. During this period, the total consumption of everyone was less than Zichun's. The second 10 years came quickly. His avatar came back again. This time, his avatar was obviously injured. However, his harvest was even greater. Zichun asked his avatar what he encountered. His avatar smiled and said, "Killing and robbing." His avatar's personality came from his real body. Naturally, he wouldn't rob for no reason. Usually, it was him who was targeted because he had a great harvest and was only at level 7. However, those who wanted to rob him of his thunderstones would be robbed by him instead. He killed some of them and let some of them go. Of course, he wouldn't let them go openly. He would accidentally let them run away. These people thought that his avatar was nothing special. After he ran away, they would gather others to surround him and kill him again before running away again. It was like harvesting chives. Once harvested, it would take 10 years. When Zichen heard about his avatar's experience, he smiled and gave him great encouragement. In the third 10 years, his avatar had been harvesting chives all the time. This time, he brought back more than 10,000 thunderstones. Among them, more than 70% were looted. The fourth 10 years had not come yet. In Zichen's world, a powerful aura suddenly emerged. This aura affected the world. Winds rolled and clouds moved. Surging vitality surged. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. He released a powerful aura. Chapter 2976. The last time he obtained the Thunder Body, Zichen already had a rank 7 physical body. It took him more than 100 years to go from rank 7 to rank 8. During this time, in addition to refining many inner cores, he also refined thunderstones for several decades. The consumption was huge. Of course, the increase in his combat strength was also significant. He was much more powerful than a rank 7 armor. At the same time, he was only one step away from the strongest rank 9 physical body in this world. It was just that this consumption was a little too touching. He did not dare to refine thunderstones anymore, for fear that others would not have enough to break through. After his physical body broke through to rank 8, Zichen did not leave the world immediately. Instead, he walked into the depths of the world. The others were still quietly refining thunderstones, so Zichen did not disturb them. After coming to this world, due to the various armors, many techniques could not unleash their full power. For example, Zichen's space-splitting slash could easily kill those of the same level in the outside world. Those who could reach this place were all level 9 divine generals, so everyone was definitely of the same level. If they were in the outside world, Zichen's space-splitting slash could almost wipe them all out. However, it was not possible here. With those custom-made armors, the space-splitting slash's power was greatly reduced. Now that he had reached rank 8 and came to the depths of the world, he wanted to spend some time to comprehend his own combat skills so that he could have a stronger armor-piercing power. For example, he could easily break through custom-made armors. In this world, breaking through armor was the key. If he could break through armor, he could naturally kill people. His space-splitting slash was a large-scale attack method that could kill a circle of enemies. As a result, its power would obviously be reduced by a lot. At this time, he was thinking about how to land the space-splitting slash attack on a single point. The space-splitting slash was a space-cutting technique. If it landed on a single point, its power would naturally be stronger. A light flashed in his hand, and a sheathed long saber appeared. He unsheathed the saber, and a saber light flew into the distance. This was an ordinary saber move. Zichen was strong enough to display it in this realm. The long saber returned to its sheath, and Zichen's right hand landed on the sheath. Thunder force surged on his body. This time, in addition to energy, there were rules lingering around him. Those rules were related to space. He exerted force with his right hand, and the long saber was unsheathed again. Space rules lingered on the blade, and he slashed forward. Looking at the incoming blade, Zichen shook his head. The power of this saber strike was not weak because of his own strength. It had nothing to do with the power of space. On the contrary, those spatial techniques were not fully displayed. Zichen drew his sword again and again, adjusting his rule force after each attack. He stood there, and the spatial rules of the world surrounded his body. The power of yin and yang, as well as the power of the lightning body, circled around his body. He held the saber hilt and pulled it out again. Saber will circled around the blade. This was his strongest move. During this period, he did not use the spatial regulations. If he used it, its might would instead weaken because the two could not effectively fuse. As the long saber returned to its scabbard, a black spatial crack appeared, drawing a circle and extending in all directions. This was space rending slash, a large-scale killing technique. What Zichen wanted to do was to add the power of the two together and merge it into one move. Obviously, this was difficult. Zichun now needed to find a point of convergence. He used these two attacks again and again to see if he could find a place where they were compatible. Just like that, another few years passed. Another 10 years passed, and the deity's clone did not return. The clone returned once every 10 years. Occasionally, it would be late, but Zichun did not mind. 2 years later, the clone still had not returned. Zichun frowned. In this area with thunderstones, deity's energy surged wildly between heaven and earth, and all kinds of powerful attacks appeared. Occasionally, an energy divine beast wrapped in divine light would fly into the sky and explode in the void. Sometimes, a sharp sword light would soar into the sky. Many attacks appeared between heaven and earth, and rumbling sounds could be heard continuously. The ones who attacked were a group of divine generals. Most of them were at the 8th stage, with some at the 7th stage. There was not a single 9th stage. They gathered together, their faces filled with anger, and their bodies surged with killing intent. Stop. This time, you will definitely die. How many years has it been? We finally found him again. We can't let him go. They roared angrily, staring coldly in front of them. In front of them, a 7th divine general was running away. The upper-grade armor on his body was tattered and had lost its luster and effectiveness. There were several holes in his body, and divine blood was spilling out. This was the clone that had been away for decades. He did not return for the past 10 years because he was targeted. Not just one or two, or a group, but a large group of divine generals. Obviously, in these decades, his reputation had spread far and wide, so much so that he had provoked public anger. Many rank 9s disdained to attack a 7th stage like him, but rank 8s did not care about that. What they cared about was the Thunderstones. As long as they had Thunderstones, they did not mind bullying a 7th stage. However, as they attacked, they realized that this 7th stage was stronger than they had imagined. He had robbed rank 8s directly. Therefore, more and more rank 8s were robbed. In the end, they formed an alliance and decided to attack this 7th stage together. Because the other party had been robbing for decades, he had obtained countless Thunderstones. Naturally, they coveted them and wanted to rob him. After every battle, the other party ran away again and again. His vitality was stronger than they had imagined. Now, his armor was broken, and he was injured, but his speed was still so fast. However, a 8th stage divine general showed a smile on his face. After so many years of being hunted, they already had experience. Naturally, they knew what to do. In other directions, other rank 8s appeared. Their speed was extremely fast, and they surrounded the clone. Everyone had a satisfied smile on their faces. After decades, they finally surrounded him. The other party seemed to know what his fate was. Instead, he stopped running and stopped just like that. The long spear in his hand was full of cracks. It was obviously on the verge of exploding. Run? Why aren't you running? A 8th stage stepped forward, stared at the 7th stage divine general, and said coldly. The clone looked at the 8th stage divine general and smiled. He said, I'm not running. I'm waiting for you. That's because you can't run. The 8th stage divine general said coldly. At this moment, the others around him also stepped forward. Those who walked in front were all rank 8s. Their bodies were surging with undisguised murderous intent. Run. We'll watch you run. Another 8th stage divine general said coldly. The clone shook his head and said sincerely, I'm not running. Thank you for sending me Thunderstones. Most of you are unfamiliar faces. I believe you have many Thunderstones on you, right? When the rank 8s heard this, they were amused. This guy was seriously injured and was about to die. How dare he boast so shamelessly? Chapter 29:77. The one who walked out of the vortex was Zichun. Naturally, it was also his real body. Although the doppelganger had its own thoughts, their souls were inseparable. When this connection was needed, the doppelganger would initiate contact. In the doppelganger's current state, it would undoubtedly be very difficult for him to kill these people. Hence, he summoned his real body. Zichun appeared. After seeing so many people around him, he was slightly startled. Then, a smile appeared on his face. He said, Not bad. Those rank 8s who were about to charge forward stopped at this moment. They looked at Zichun in surprise. "Who are you?" someone asked in a low voice. Not everyone knew Zichun. There were many people who came here this time. Some came after hearing the news. They had nothing to do with the alliance. Zichun looked at these god generals and said with a smile, "Who I am is not important. What's important is that you have to take out all the thunderstones you have. Remember, all of them." "You?" The rank 8s who spoke did not know Zichun. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He charged toward Zichun. Seeing the other party charging toward him, Zichun stretched out his finger and drew a line in front of him. This line was very light, like a casual attack. A ray of golden light flew out from his fingertip and flew forward. In front of the golden light, there was a black crack. The two were very close to each other, but they did not completely merge. In these 2 years, Zichun had not completely comprehended this move. Whether it was the black crack or the golden light, they were both very fast. During this time, they brought along a strong pressure and arrived in front of the rank 8s. The rank 8's expression changed. Divine light surrounded his body. He switched from offense to defense. A god's light shield appeared on the surface of the armor. The black crack hit the armor. The armor's defense was broken in the distortion. The crack swept past the armor. A deep mark appeared on the armor, but it was not broken. Just as this rank 8's retreated in fear, the golden light that followed swept past his body. Poof! Divine blood splattered. This rank 8's body was separated, and his soul was destroyed. The other rank 8s who wanted to attack all stopped at this moment. They kept quiet out of fear. Their faces were full of fear. Killing a rank 8 with a casual blow, what kind of combat strength was this? Obviously, the people who had intended to make a move earlier didn't know Zichun. For those who knew Zichun, they were so scared that they didn't dare to move. A few decades ago, when the other party was still a rank 7, he could easily kill a rank 8. He even killed a rank 9. Faced with the pursuit of several rank 9s, he escaped easily. It was simply a pipe dream for these people to want to kill him. Zichun looked at these people and said indifferently, "I don't want to kill anymore. Take out all the thunder stones." Those divine generals who already knew of Zichun's strength immediately took out their thunder stones and placed them in the void without hesitation. After that, they quickly retreated. After retreating several hundred meters, they turned around and fled in fear, worried that Zichun would suddenly change his mind. Those who didn't know Zichun immediately put down their thunderstones, turned around, and ran away. It was unknown if they had heard the sound transmissions from others. In a short while, there were only thunderstones left. Everyone retreated far away in fear. "Also, tell those rank 9s that I'm back. Ask them to wait at the exit. All the grudges will be settled there." Zichun's voice traveled far away. After those rank 8s and rank 7s heard it, they were shocked and ran even faster. Swoosh! Zichun waved his big sleeves. The tens of thousands of thunder stones floating around were all taken away. After that, he disappeared with his clone. In the world, Zichun and his clone appeared at the same time. Zichun looked at his clone and said, "You raise your realm first. Leave everything else to me." His clone had served everyone for decades and brought back many thunder stones. Now that he had broken through, it was naturally his turn to serve everyone. Compared to his clone, he had a greater advantage. The others were still cultivating. Zichun left the world. He expanded his spiritual senses and began to search for thunder stones. Although too many thunder stones had been discovered over the years, there were still some here. Many people who had been here before realized that the harvest this time was much greater than before, but they didn't know the reason. Swoosh! Zichun's figure disappeared from where he was. When he appeared again, he found the thunder stones. There were dozens of them, hidden in the thunderbolts above. Since discovering the big thunder stones last time, Zichun intentionally sent his clone to the upper layer of the thunderbolts to look for them. All these years, his clone had gained a lot. However, the thunderbolts here were relatively terrifying. No one could stay here for too long. Moreover, divine telekinesis couldn't be expanded. Zichun came to the thunderbolts. Then, he kept flying up. The thunderbolt force surging around him was getting more and more terrifying. There was only thunderbolts in front of him. Other than that, He couldn't see anything else. When the others arrived here, they were like headless flies. They couldn't even see the thunderstones several feet away. The range of vision was less than 10 feet. Zichen's spiritual senses were not hindered here. He could easily discover the thunderstones nearby. At the same time, the thunderbolt force here was very strong. Zichen realized that he could use it to cultivate his body. This discovery surprised him. He was worried that if he absorbed too many thunderstones, there wouldn't be enough for others. That was why Zichen chose to come here. He didn't expect that the thunderbolt force here was also very rich. The effect was only slightly worse than the thunderstones. Zichen continued to fly up. His body formed a vortex, absorbing the thunderbolts around him. The higher he went, the more terrifying the thunderbolts were. Slowly, even with Zichen's body, he felt pain. At this moment, he stopped and didn't continue to go up. Near him, there were many thunderstones. He couldn't see them with his eyes. With his spiritual senses, there were more than 100 of them. He started to move forward in a straight line. When he was collecting the thunderstones, he was also absorbing the thunderbolt force around him to strengthen his body. Even if he wasn't robbing, his harvest was great. His body that had just broken through to rank 8 not only stabilized, but also became stronger. Tuoming listened to his subordinate's report. His eyes flashed. He really appeared? Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. He killed a rank 8 easily. It seems that he has advanced, said a rank 8 standing beside Tuoming. After disappearing for so long, he finally appeared again. I thought he would continue to hide. When we left, he told those rank 9s to wait. All the grudges will be settled at the exit. Hearing what the rank 8 said, Tuoming laughed coldly. Back then, there were many rank 9s who chased after him. Even if he has the ability to kill a rank 9, it's impossible for him to deal with those rank 9s who joined forces. Although I underestimated him previously, he's obviously arrogant now. However, we don't have to care about him. It's best if he's dead. We can bring young Lord back. A rank 8 asked, should we go look for young Lord now? Not for now. They'll show up sooner or later. At the same time, the other rank 9s also heard the news that Zichen had appeared again after a few decades. Their choice was different from Tuoming's. They sent people to search for him. However, Zichen seemed to have disappeared again. There was no trace of him at all. No one knew that he was above the thunderbolts, looking for thunderstones and using the thunderbolts to cultivate. Chapter 2978. Amidst the thunderbolts, the rumbling continued. Zichen advanced in the thunderbolts. This was a place that not even a rank 9 dared to step into, but he was unimpeded. He even used the thunderbolts to train his physique. His body absorbed the thunderbolts around him. After they entered his body, they were transformed by the thunder physique. Within the range of his spiritual senses, thunderbolts appeared one after another. There were so many of them that he could not collect them all. It could be said that the thunderbolts below all fell from here. Only a very small portion of them. This was the real land of opportunity. However, he could not use energy or his doppelganger to collect them, because once the energy left his body, it would be shattered by the surrounding thunderbolts. It was the same for his doppelganger. It would disappear as soon as it appeared. The thunderbolts here had reached an unimaginable level. Even those rank 9 wearing custom-made armor would not dare to come here. If the next battle were to be fought here, then Zichen believed that no one would be his opponent. He would not even need to spend too much effort to kill everyone. This was his home ground. He was invincible. He tried to open up the world to collect the thunderbolts. Then, he realized that once the thunderbolts here reached the world's space, they would be gathered and weakened. He wanted to collect thunderbolts for future battles, but it was completely impossible. Just like that, he stayed in this area for a few months. He had gained a lot. On this day, Zichen continued to move forward. His expression changed slightly. In his spiritual senses, a huge rock appeared in front of him. This huge rock was naturally a thunderbolt rock. Its size was bigger than the one monk saw last time. In front of this huge thunderbolt rock, there were many other thunderbolt rocks of different sizes. This was a really big gain. Zichen did not stop. He flew straight ahead. After flying for more than 10 feet, his body stopped again. This was because he sensed a strong aura. This aura came from the side. He turned his head and looked to the side. Other than the thunderbolts, he could not see anything else. At this moment, his pupils shrank. The thunderbolts on his body surged. He used speed and dodged to the side. The thunderbolts in front began to roll like clouds. A huge thunderbolt creature rushed out. Thunder rumbled, and a terrifying aura surged, bringing with it a deafening roar. It was a heavenly thunder beast, which looked like a giant dragon. It was hundreds of feet long and had a single horn on its head. Its body was filled with the terrifying power of thunder. The thunderbolts here were enough to stop many rank 9s in their tracks. For the other party to be able to appear here, it was naturally a heavenly thunder beast that was stronger than ordinary rank 9s. After missing its attack, the thunder flood dragon turned around and stared coldly at Zichen with its thunderous eyes. As it breathed, the surrounding lightning began to gather and decrease as it was absorbed into its body. Zichen was shocked in his heart. He did not expect to meet a heavenly thunder beast here. Moreover, it was so powerful. However, he was not afraid. Lightning flashed on his body as he activated his lightning body and punched forward. Boom! With a loud rumble, the power of thunder spread out, and Zichen's body was knocked back. Opposite him, the Thunder Flood Dragon was also knocked back by the punch, but it was not injured. The Thunder Flood Dragon was enraged. It let out a roar and brought along endless lightning as it rushed towards Zichen. Thunder rumbled, and the surrounding lightning began to wreak havoc. Zichen clenched his fist again. 3 types of energy surged on his body as he used all his strength. As the punch landed, the void shook again, and an even stronger explosion spread out. The roar resounded above. During this time, when god generals passed by below, they would subconsciously look up and then leave in a hurry. They did not think that there were people fighting above. It was most likely that the lightning was raging. Perhaps there would be terrifying lightning falling at any time. Zichen fought with the Thunder Flood Dragon above. Even though he had broken through to rank 8 and had lightning body, he still found it difficult to fight at this moment. His body was knocked back. A long saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed at the Thunder Flood Dragon. The saber slashed forward, leaving a black crack in its path. Wherever it passed, the surging lightning was split into 2 by the black crack. Poof! The black crack landed on the Thunder Flood Dragon's body, shattering several scales. Blood splattered everywhere. The blood that spurted out from the shattered scales dissipated when it came into contact with the lightning. It could not fall below at all. Zichen slashed again and again with his saber. More terrifying lightning rolled. He was knocked back again and again, and the chi and blood in his body were surging. It was still very difficult to deal with such an existence. However, Zichen could use it to practice his armor-piercing combat skill. This battle lasted for a total of 6 hours and ended with the death of the Thunder Flood Dragon. At this time, the scales on its body were broken in many places, and there were many shocking wounds on its huge body. After collecting the Thunder Flood Dragon's body, Zichen flew forward and collected all the Thunderstones here. During this time, he naturally would not let go of the large Thunderstone. When the Thunder Flood Dragon's body and the large Thunderstone fell in Zichen's world, the roar woke many people up. After seeing what was in front of them, they were extremely shocked. At this time, with Zichen's help, they did not have to worry about not having enough Thunderstones. They refined them without hesitation and were getting closer and closer to rank 8. Zichen continued forward. 3 days later, he encountered another heavenly thunder beast. This time, it was not a thunder flood dragon but another species. Its realm was also equivalent to rank 9. Zichen directly drew his saber and fought with the power of space. A year passed in a flash, and no one could find Zichen. In the team, Roy broke through to ranked 8, followed by the others. With the endless supply of Thunderstones, everyone's breakthrough speed was naturally very fast. Zichen's understanding of the cooperation between the space-rending kill and the saber had also improved a lot. In the blink of an eye, another 2 years passed. All the divine generals who came here felt very strange because according to the past, this area should have been closed long ago. This time, not only did everyone gain a lot, but this space also did not close for a long time. In front of Zichun, another thunder flood dragon appeared. The thunder flood dragon carried the surrounding thunderbolts and rushed toward him. Zichun stood silently. He held the saber in his hand tightly and slashed. The shining saber light swept toward the thunder flood dragon. Outside the saber light, there was a black line that completely covered the blade. After several years of actual combat, he finally achieved the fusion of the two. This move was called the space-rending saber. Puff! The saber light swept past, and the thunder flood dragon's head was separated from its body. A black crack appeared and blood gushed out. On its huge body, the terrifying aura dissipated in an instant. One hit, one kill. After collecting the corpse and the large thunderstone not far away, Zichun returned to his world. He had made great progress in these years, and so did everyone. At this moment in the team, including everyone had broken through to ranked 8. Chapter 2979. He knew that the exit was about to appear because the space here had become very unstable. During this time, Zichun's spiritual thoughts could also hear the discussions of the passing immortal generals. Powerful auras surged in his world. Everyone was in a good mood after the breakthrough. Before coming here, most of them were rank 6. They did not expect that they could grow to this level in just a few decades. Martin and Lunk were very emotional. They had been in the army for thousands of years, but they could not compare to the short 100 years they had followed Zichun. It's time to go. Zichun looked at everyone. Yes, it's time to go. The others were very excited. Leaving here would not delay their cultivation because there were many thunderstones here. In the past few decades, Zichun's combat strength had increased tremendously, and he had also obtained a large number of thunderstones. The number was very impressive. During this time, there were more than a dozen large pieces, and each piece was much larger than the one Monk had found. With a flash of brilliance, everyone appeared in the world and walked toward the exit. Over the years, Kang Imo had successfully refined 2 sets of armor. One was for Thunderbolt, and the other was for Xing Chen. His rank was equivalent to a rank 7 warlord, which was an increase of 1 level. As they walked toward the exit, Su Mingyao looked at Zichun and asked, "Have you decided?" Last time, Zichun told Su Mingyao about Kang Imo. At that time, he had not decided what to do. Zichun nodded and said, "No matter what, we should save Kang Mo's father. Moreover, this matter is related to whether we can leave or not. We have to get involved." Since Kang Imo could refine armor, he had been refining armor for everyone. In everyone's eyes, Kang Imo was like their younger brother. Now that the Alliance wanted to use Kang Imo, they naturally could not sit back and do nothing. Su Mingyao nodded gently and asked, "What do you plan to do?" "Starting from the exit, we will clear all obstacles." As the group of people flew towards the exit, other people appeared as well. When they saw Zichun's group, their expressions changed. This team had been hidden for many years and seemed to have disappeared into thin air. They did not expect to reappear, and all of them were rank 8 warlords. These people quickly left. Obviously, they did not dare to provoke them. At the same time, they were worried that these people would rob them. "Hey, stop!" Tyrant shouted at a team in the distance and flew towards them. Naturally, it was impossible for the group to stop. After hearing the monk's voice, they ran even faster and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Zichun's team was naturally famous here. There was almost no one who did not know them. News of their appearance quickly spread. However, this time, the rank 9 experts who had been looking for them for a long time did not attack them directly. Instead, they waited patiently at the exit. There was only one exit in this lightning space, and it appeared randomly. There was no fixed location. This time, the passageway appeared much later. Everyone's harvest was unprecedentedly great, provided that some people were not robbed. Divine General Tuaming had arrived early and brought many people with him to guard the passageway. Clearly, if the young master did not come, no one would be able to leave. The other people who came to this place all stopped and waited patiently in the distance. Some people knew that a great battle was about to break out. Whether or not Kang Imo could leave this place alive and become the high and mighty young master would depend on the result of this battle. They believed that this battle would be shocking enough. At the very least, a group of people would die. Kang Imo brought many people with him. Although each of them had top-notch fighting strength, there were more experts here. Donder and Whaley came. Behind them stood the people they brought with them this time. They did not suffer any losses. Donder looked at the people of Blood Scorpion in the distance and said in surprise, "Only a few of them left?" Whaley said, "It's not bad. Those people are smart." Donder's realm had reached the rank 9, and his fighting strength had reached the peak in this world. However, this peak was only relative to other realms. It was not absolute. Otherwise, the rank 9 Blood Scorpion would not have died. Whaley looked at the other rank 9 experts in front of him and said in a low voice, "Whether we can see the future or not, Blood Scorpion can no longer see it. They can't either." Whaley's confidence in Zichun could be seen from his words. "Should we take action?" Donder asked. "If he asks, we'll definitely take action." Whaley said, "Since we've chosen different paths, we should walk together. What's the point of watching from the side?" Just as the two of them were talking, a group of people appeared in the distance. The arrival of this group of people caused a small disturbance. Many people's eyes fell on Kang Emo. As the young master, everyone had to be respectful to him. However, this was on the premise that he could leave the passage alive. Although Tuomin could help him, he was only one person. Then, everyone's eyes fell on Zichun. He was also the key this time. Their progress is really fast. Everyone has reached the rank 8. Looking at Zichun's group, Donder was a little surprised. Those two used to be members of our corps, right? Whaley's eyes fell on Martin and Lunk. Yes. I didn't expect them to break through too. It seems that Zichun has obtained a lot of thunder stones these years. Donder nodded and said, "Right now, everyone's attention was on Zichun's group. No one saluted Kang Emo. Before he went out, he was just a seemingly immature teenager. Only when he left alive would he be the real young master." Two people appeared in front of him. They were 2 rank 9s. They blocked Zichun's path. Zichun's figure did not stop, and he walked straight ahead. Behind him, Su Mingyao and the others stopped. Obviously, they would not participate in the battle between Zichun and the rank 9s. When he was 1,000 feet away from the 2 rank 9s, Zichun stopped. He looked at them and said, "Only 2? Are the others scared to death? Or do they want to change their stance? That's impossible. I've already memorized their faces. This time they'll die." Shameless boasting. A cold voice came from the side. 2 more people walked out. Zichun shook his head and said, "Only 4. Not enough." 2 more people appeared on the right. Zichun still shook his head. The last 2 people appeared at the back. Then, the 8 of them spread out and surrounded Zichun. This scene was exactly the same as decades ago. The only difference was that Zichun was no longer injured and had advanced to rank 8. Looking at the 8 people, Zichun smiled and said, "Enough?" At this moment, Whaley in the distance said, "Zichun, do you need help?" There was an uproar all around. Obviously, Whaley's words at this time were to express his attitude. Tuomin in the distance still did not speak. No one knew what he was thinking at this time. Zichun looked up at the sky. Thunder and lightning covered the top, raging at the top. He shook his head slowly and said, "No need. This is my home ground." Chapter 2980. No one knew what Zichun meant. Home ground? His home ground? Everyone was slightly stunned. They didn't understand, so they didn't care. They found their own positions. Apart from Tua Ming's men who didn't move, the divine generals who showed their stance as spectators retreated into the distance immediately. The other divine generals flew toward Monk's group. They were either rank 8 or rank 7. The rank 9 were all surrounding Zichun. The battlefield was divided into 2 parts. Zichun's group was at an absolute disadvantage in terms of numbers. No one was optimistic about them. No matter how extraordinary they were, they would be killed by everyone. Donder looked at Whaley. Whaley shook his head. Zichun didn't need help. Donder was just a spectator. The battle hadn't started yet. An abnormality appeared in the sky. Thunderbolts began to surge with great momentum. The rumbling sound came from the sky. It was getting closer and closer to the ground, as if thunderbolts were falling from the sky. The people below looked up at the sky subconsciously. Then, they were shocked because there were thunderbolts falling from the sky. It was boundless. It was as if someone had poked a hole in the sky and caused a sea of thunderbolts to pour down. In the blink of an eye, with Zichun as the center and the rank 9 as the boundary, this place was completely covered by thunderbolts. The thunderbolts roared and emitted a terrifying aura. The people in the distance retreated in fear. The 8 rank 9 didn't retreat. They were drowned by countless thunderbolts. The thunderbolts in the sky were terrible. They were a threat to the rank 9. Zichun couldn't store them in the world reserved for future battles, but he could use the power of the world to draw the thunderbolts from the sky. The thunderbolts falling from the sky were so powerful that Zichun's body felt pain. They were mixed with many thunderstones. Amidst the roar, the 8 grade 9 experts' faces were filled with horror. They put up a defense against the thunderbolts and wanted to rush out. However, this place had become a space of its own. They rushed forward and met a space barrier. They tried their best but couldn't break it. They couldn't go forward or backward. They couldn't go underground. They had to go up to the sky. However, there were endless thunderbolts falling from the sky. They would die if they went up. Tuoming, who was in the distance, looked at the scene in front of him and his expression changed drastically. The group of experts beside him also looked extremely terrified. If they were in the middle of such terrifying lightning, they would definitely die. Those divine generals who had surrounded Tyrant and his group in the distance had already fled in fear. They didn't dare to come any closer. Such a terrifying method could attack indiscriminately. Numbers were of no use. At this moment, they clearly understood what Zichun meant when he said that they were in the home ground. Thunderbolts raged all around. Zichun walked forward. The thunderbolts here made his physical body feel slightly uncomfortable. In front of him, a rank 9 was putting up a defense, resisting the thunderbolts all around. There was fear on his face. His defense was formed by a custom-made battle armor. Its defense was very strong, but the power of lightning around him was too terrifying. It was obvious that his defense would not be able to last for long. A cold light flashed in Zichun's eyes as he flew forward. This rank 9 who was resisting the thunderbolts felt that the power of lightning around him had become unusually violent. Just as he sensed that something was wrong, he saw a person suddenly appear in front of him. It was Zichun. Immediately after, Zichun's fist landed on his body. Thunder roared and his body flew backward. During this time, the defense on the surface of his body was constantly distorted. As he flew backward, he was attacked by the surrounding thunderbolts and finally exploded. The custom-made battle armor's defense was broken. Thunderbolts spread all over his body. Endless power of lightning poured into his body. This rank 9 let out a shrill scream and his aura dissipated. A rank 9 was killed. Zichun turned and walked toward the second rank 9. In these years, he had killed many rank 9 heavenly thunder beasts. Relatively speaking, it was easy to kill a rank 9. However, he didn't want to waste too much time. Moreover, it was very strenuous for him to fight against 8 of them. When he unfolded his world, even if it was in a half-open state, these rank 9 could forget about breaking it. When he arrived in front of the second person, Zichun punched again. The fist flashing with lightning fell on the other person's defense. Accompanied by the roar of thunder, this rank 9 was sent flying. Earlier, it was already very strenuous for him to block the thunderbolts. Now that he was hit by Zichun's punch, his defense was completely shattered. Zichun didn't need to kill anyone. He only needed to break the defense. Hearing the shrill scream in their ears, the other 6 rank 9's faces were filled with horror. They began to shout loudly, wanting to come together and unite. Their spiritual thoughts were affected here, so they couldn't transmit their voices. When Zichun heard these shouts, he smiled coldly. With a shift of his mind, the space of these worlds was separated. He appeared in front of the third person and punched out. The power of this punch wasn't strong, but it was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. It destroyed their defense that could barely block the thunderbolts. Boom! The fourth rank 9's defense was broken. He let out a shrill cry. Zichun, fight me face to face if you have the guts. A 9th grade divine general with a sword in hand looked around in fear, shouting loudly. Fight face to face? Why didn't you say this decades ago when I wasn't injured? A cold voice sounded in front of him. Zichun walked out of the thunderbolts. Go to hell. The rank 9's eyes flashed with killing intent. He stabbed forward with his sword. Puff. The sword light flashed past. Zichen's body was directly pierced through. Seeing this, the rank 9's expression changed greatly. He turned around. Before he could stab with his sword a second time, a fist shining with thunderbolts had already landed on his body. With another boom, the 5th rank 9's defense was broken, and he was killed by the thunderbolts here. Zichun was like the god of death. Wherever he went, he brought death. Outside the domain shining with thunderbolts, no one could be seen around. Everyone had retreated far away. At this moment, except for Monk and the others who still looked normal, the others were all frightened. With such terrible thunderbolts raging around, they didn't know how those rank 9's were doing. Donder looked at the thunderbolts in front of him, feeling very shocked. With a smile on his face, Wei Li turned to look at Tuomin. Tuomin's face was very gloomy. Buzz. A tremor came from the front. It was the domain of thunderbolts being withdrawn. When the thunderbolts disappeared, pieces of thunderstones of different sizes floated in the air. At the same time, there were 9 corpses floating in the air. An uproar came from afar. Everyone's face was filled with horror. They didn't expect 8 rank 9's to die like this. Zichen's gaze swept across the surroundings. Those people from before all retreated in fear. With a cold snort, Zichun waved his hands and collected all the thunderstones and corpses. Then, under everyone's gaze, he walked toward Tuomin. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Chapter 2981. Zichen had previously announced that he would kill 9 people. The 9th person he was referring to was Tuoming. Seeing Zichun walking towards him, Tuoming's expression turned ugly. The rest of the people beside Tuomin were terrified as they retreated into the distance. Wei Li looked at this scene with a faint smile on his face. Donder said in surprise, "He wants to kill Tuoming? Why?" Wei Li did not explain because Tuoming had already spoken. "You want to attack me?" Zichen said, "I don't want to attack you. I want to kill you." "You?" Tuoming raised his eyebrows and said in an extremely cold voice. Tuoming was very powerful. Everyone knew that before coming here. However, if he said such words now, it would undoubtedly make others feel that he was arrogant. Zichun had killed 8 rank 9 martial artists in a row here. How could he not be killed? Everyone was puzzled. Although Divine General Tuoming had always been hostile to Zichun, he had always been the young lord's protector. He had even saved them during a crisis. Why did he want to kill Tuoming now? In fact, both of them belonged to the same camp. Zichen sneered, "What you really want to say is why I want to kill you, right? It's very simple. Last time, there were 9 rank 9 martial artists. Now, 8 of them are dead. There's 1 more left." Tuoming's expression changed. The others were enlightened. The Yu family's influence is really huge. I didn't expect that even the most trusted Tuoming in the alliance would become one of them. Donder lamented. Wei Li was indifferent. Obviously, he had known about this long ago. He was even the one who told Zichun about this. "Humph, that's right. I'm one of them." Tuoming snorted. "I just want to kill you. I want to kill all of you. Because you don't have the right to protect the young lord." Zichen sneered again. "No matter what your true intentions are, it doesn't matter. Because you have to die." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed towards Tuoming. Lightning surged out from his body, and a powerful aura was released. "You're courting death." Seeing Zichun rush over without using the sea of lightning in the sky, a cold glint flashed into Tuoming's eyes. As the former second on the roll of generals, his combat prowess was naturally incomparably powerful. Why would he care about a mere 8th-grade martial artist? Besides, he was not the first on the roll of generals. Tuomin's armor was black and all the patterns on it lit up. He did not use a weapon for the time being. He clenched his fist and struck out. This punch was full of power. It was accompanied by a rumbling sound that instantly covered the thunder in the sky. The others widened their eyes and stared ahead. Zichun did not use the lightning here. In the eyes of the others, Zichun probably wanted to test his own combat strength. After all, the reason why he was able to kill the 8 rank 9 martial artists was because of the terrifying thunderbolt. Their fists collided, and an explosion sounded out as a powerful force surged out. Amidst the shockwaves, the two of them retreated. In the meantime, Zichen's figure flashed. After neutralizing the powerful impact, he once again stepped forward. Thunder rumbled around his body as the power of his thunder body was pushed to the limit. He punched and punched. Bright light appeared on his fists. "Go to hell." Tuamine bellowed furiously. The aura on his body surged violently as he punched again. The power of this punch was even more terrifying than before. Another rumble sounded. Waves mixed with lightning and divine light scattered in all directions, forming a powerful shockwave that forced the surrounding people to retreat again. At this moment, in the distance, many people were looking at the scene with astonishment on their faces. Obviously, even without the power of the Sea of Lightning, the 8th grade Zichun had the ability to fight against a 9th grade martial artist. In the two fights, he and Tuamine were evenly matched. In addition, Zichun had not worn the custom-made armor. If he used it, his combat prowess would be greatly enhanced. "His combat prowess is indeed terrifying," Donder said in astonishment as he looked at the two fighting in front of him. The two of them were fighting at a faster and faster speed. Every strike was at full strength. The armor on Tuamine's body emitted a strong light. It was obvious that he had pushed it to the limit. However, in the fight with Zichun, he did not gain the upper hand. "Get lost." An angry roar suddenly came out from Tuaming's mouth. Divine light circled around his body, and a divine bird materialized from energy flew out. The divine bird spread its wings and flew towards Zichun. The divine bird exploded in front of Zichun, turning into terrifying divine waves that spread out in all directions. Zichun bore the brunt of the impact and was sent flying by the energy. After the energy forced Zichun back, Tuamine's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he started to form seals with both hands. The speed at which he formed the seals was so fast that it was dazzling. This is his strongest move. In the distance, Whaley looked at Tuamine, who was forming the seals, and said, "It seems that he feels threatened and wants to fight Zichun to the death." In the past, Whaley was number 1, and Tuamine was number 2. Whaley naturally knew Tuamine very well. In the distance, Zichun looked at Tuamine forming the seals, and his expression turned cold. A light flashed in his hand, and a sheathed saber appeared. "Go to hell." Divine Phoenix transforms to Yang. As Tuamine formed the seals, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. In the sky above his head, a huge true phoenix appeared. The true phoenix was surging with a terrifying aura. Boundless divine light shrouded the surroundings, bringing along an indescribable pressure. In the next moment, the true phoenix descended from the sky. Its body rotated and turned into a sun that was releasing divine light. Obviously, this was Tuamine's strongest move. In the situation where he could not suppress the enemy with his physical strength, he could only use this move. Feeling the terrifying aura coming toward him, Zichen's body flashed with lightning. The power flowed through his right arm and into the long saber. The veins on the back of his hand bulged as he unsheathed his saber. Whoosh! A bright saber light swept toward the divine sun that was formed by the true phoenix. Outside the saber light, there was a black crack that enveloped the long saber. The saber seemed to be moving forward in space. Wherever it passed, space would be split. When the saber light and the true phoenix met, there was no terrifying confrontation that everyone had imagined. The saber light swept past the true phoenix in an instant and landed on Tuamine without slowing down. The true phoenix split into two and turned into surging energy that dissipated in the air. When the saber landed on Tuamine's body, the defense of his armor was immediately shattered. At the same time, the saber light pierced through the armor. Following the explosion of energy, Tuamine was sent flying. The surroundings were in an uproar. Clearly, no one had expected that Tuamine, who had used his strongest move, would still not be a match for Zichun. Tuamine did not die. He looked at Zichun in the distance with a horrified expression. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Zichun looked at Tuamine coldly. Without saying a word, he unsheathed his long saber again. It was the same move as before. There were black marks on the surface of the saber. When the saber swept past, Tuamine merely put up a defensive posture. However, the saber swept past his body. He was dead. Chapter 2982. Looking at the dead Tuaming, everyone was shocked. A rank 8 without any armor could actually kill a rank 9 who was wearing a custom-made armor. It was quiet all around. Everyone was in shock. Unlike Zichun, who killed other rank 9 experts with the help of the thunderbolts here, he killed them with his own strength. Ranked 8 already has such strong combat strength. Once he reaches rank 9, he will definitely be able to defeat everyone here. Wei Li's eyes shone with hope. Zichun walked toward the dead Tuaming. Behind him was the passageway. At this moment, there was no one beside the passageway. The people who were guarding the passageway had already run away. The shocked crowd gradually came back to their senses. Then, they looked at Kangamo with complicated expressions. Now, he had truly become the young lord. In Sky Road City, everyone had to treat him with respect. After keeping Tuaming's body, Zichun turned around. The monk and the others walked forward. No one dared to stop them. Zichun had the absolute advantage here. If he wanted to, he could kill everyone. Everyone came to the passageway. "Let's go," Zichun said. Before entering the passageway, he looked back at Wei Li. The latter nodded at him. Seeing the group walking out of the passageway, everyone spoke. Their expressions were naturally extremely shocked. "Let's go too," Wei Li said. "Where to next?" Donder asked. "Directly to Sky Road City." Wei Li turned to look at the other god generals who followed him and said, "If you don't want to enter the city for now, go to the Legion and wait." A few of them nodded. There were some rank 8 and rank 7 experts among them. After seeing how rank 9 experts were easily killed, they naturally did not dare to go to Sky Road City. The others dispersed. At this moment, they could see that Sky Road City was going to change. After walking out of the Thunder Dominion with Thunder Stones, they were still in the Thunder Dominion. Zichun looked back at Kangamo and said, "Kangamo, we will follow you to Sky Road City." Kangamo shook his head and said, "Big brother, I don't want to go to Sky Road City." Although Kangamo was young, he was not stupid. He knew very well how those people treated him. Furthermore, the people who had come this time were clearly here to kill him. Not a single one was helping him. If he went to Heaven Road City, it would be even more dangerous. Zichun rubbed Kangmo's head and said, "You must go to Sky Road City. Your father is there, and he needs your help." "Father?" Kangmo was startled. The others looked at Zichun in confusion. "When we get out, someone will explain it to us. Let's go." Outside the Thunder Dominion, Yue waited patiently. He waited for dozens of years. In the past few decades, no one from his family had come. Not only was he not disheartened, he was even more confident. Obviously, this indicated the confidence of the family. The old men were also waiting. During this time, many more people were sent in. This time, the opening of the Thunder Dominion took longer than usual. Their mood became worse and worse. After a long wait, the Thunder Dominion space finally closed. Energy surged within the Thunder Dominion, and someone walked out. Yue sneered, but when he saw the person who appeared, he couldn't laugh. The first one to walk out was Kangmo, followed by Zichun and the others. How is this possible? Yue couldn't believe his eyes. He sent so many people, but not only did they not kill Kangmo, the other party's team didn't lose a single person. Compared to Yue's expression, the old men of the Alliance were in a much better mood. They all walked forward with undisguised excitement on their faces. Kangmo's eyes were red, as if he had just cried. The others didn't care, and immediately went forward to ask if he was frightened inside. At this moment, Zichun felt a chill. This chill came from Yue, who was not far away. "Where's Tuaming? Why didn't he come out with you?" The old man named Kes asked. "He's dead," Zichun replied indifferently. "Dead? Was he killed while protecting the young master?" Kes said impolitely, "If he's dead, why aren't you dead?" Zichun said coldly, "He was killed by me when he tried to kill your young master Kang Xian." "What?" Kes's expression changed, and he shouted, "That's nonsense." Zichun said quietly, "Whether it's nonsense or not, you'll know soon enough. Since the young master has come out safely, then follow us to Sky Road City." Another old man from the Alliance, Kappa, said, "Young master has suffered all these years. Everything will be better when you return to Sky Road City." Kongamo looked up at Kappa and said, "If you want me to go to Sky Road City, you have to agree to one condition. Not to mention one. Even 10 won't be a problem," Kappa said with a smile. "That's good." Kongamo nodded, then pointed at Kess and said, "He has to die." "What did you say?" Kess stared at Kongamo. Kongamo said coldly, "You have to die. Otherwise, I won't enter the city. If you don't enter the city, you'll die. We're trying to help you. How dare you be so heartless and ungrateful?" Cax was clearly enraged. "Kess, watch your tone," Kappa said with a frown. "Tone? He wants to kill me. What kind of tone do you need?" Kess said unhappily, "This brat is ungrateful. It's better to just kill him, so as to avoid." Before Kess could finish his words, Zichen moved. He charged at Kess. "Despicable thing, you're courting death." Kess' body flashed, and his domain was raised again. Zichen clenched his fist, and his lightning body surged as he punched Kess's domain. Boom! A huge tremor. The domain trembled, and Kess' body flew backward. Zichen's figure flashed, and he punched again. This punch still didn't break through Kess's defense, but it sent him flying high. Beside Kappa, a few people's expressions changed, and they prepared to attack. Kappa slowly shook his head. In the distance, Yue looked at this alliance that had yet to be formed and sneered again. "You despicable thing, don't you know that we naturally suppress you?" In the sky, Kess shouted angrily. A long saber appeared in Zichen's hand. Lightning surged, and he unsheathed the saber. A saber gleam with black veins charged straight at Kess. This was a space-splitting slash. Currently, without using his domain, it was Zichen's most powerful slash. The saber gleam landed on Kess's domain. The attack that could cut through space rubbed against the domain violently. The domain began to tremble violently, showing signs of collapse. Seeing this, Kess' expression changed drastically. Swoosh! Zichen unsheathed his second saber, and it was also a space-splitting slash. The energy of the first slash dissipated, and the second slash followed, landing on the previous position. Then, the third slash, and the fourth slash. At this moment, those who came out with him were all looking ahead, their expressions full of shock. Could it be that after Zichen killed many rank 9s inside, he was now coming out to attack the natives? Could he ignore this restraint? Chapter 2983. Lux's territory was unique to the natives. Not all of the natives had it. Before that, the natives needed to awaken their talents. If they couldn't, the natives would end up in a miserable state. Once awakened, the weapon refinement territory would be formed. Not only would it be able to refine high-quality armors, but it would also have an obvious restraining effect on the divine generals who came to this world. It was impossible to break through. This made the natives think that they were born to be superior. At this moment, Zichen broke through the territory with a few slashes. The shock he brought to the others was far greater than that of the rank 9 experts he killed in the Thunder space. Until now, they had never heard of anyone who could break through the natives' territory. This territory had always been called the Absolute Territory. At this moment, everyone was extremely shocked when they saw Zichen break through the territory so easily. Actually, breaking through the territory wasn't as simple as everyone thought. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many genius divine generals who came here and were suppressed. Zichen used the space-splitting slash several times. He had used this move twice before killing Tuoming. At the same time, the space-splitting slash originated from the space-splitting slash and the sword-drawing technique. The former was a space-splitting technique left behind by an ancient big shot. It was definitely not something an ordinary person could master. The latter was an attack that came with the 9 Extremes weapon. It was very powerful. When Zichen used it, the black lines were formed by his own world. It could be said that this attack was exclusive to Zichen. Even if he wanted to pass it on to others, no one could learn it. All kinds of opportunities and coincidences created such a powerful Zichen. Taking in everyone's expressions, Zichen's eyes moved slightly. His aura was obviously weakened. It seemed that he had used up a lot of energy. Kappa frowned. There was obvious shock in his eyes. Beside him, the other natives widened their eyes. They felt that it was very unbelievable. What was the background of this person who followed young Master Kang Xian? How could he break through the territory? The extremely weak Zichun raised his head and looked at the previously arrogant Lux. Now that he had lost the protection of the territory, he was terrified. His body lit up again. "Stop. Let's talk nicely. Let's talk nicely," he said loudly. He was very frightened. Zichun took a step forward. The light on his body shone even brighter. A powerful aura surged. "Kappa, make him stop. Save me, save me." Seeing the cold killing intent in Zichun's eyes, Cleese turned to Kappa for help. Kappa was still frowning and indifferent. Wong. The long saber in Zichun's hand trembled as it was unsheathed again. It was still a slash that split the air. This slash seemed to have become less powerful because of his consumption. Its speed and power had weakened, but it was still not something that a native like Cax, who had no defense, could block. Many people were silently counting the number of times Zichun could attack, thinking that this was his limit. Puff. The blade light swept past the body, and blood splattered. Cax's body was separated in midair. The surroundings were deathly silent. All the divine generals were extremely shocked. This was the first time they saw a native being killed by a divine general since they came to this world. That kind of natural domain suppression didn't seem to exist on Zichun. In the distance, Yue's expression changed greatly. Zichun, whom he didn't take seriously before, seemed to have become a wild beast at this moment, making him feel extremely threatened. The only thing that made him feel fortunate was that after a few attacks, the other party had become extremely weak, and his combat strength had obviously decreased. This could be considered the other party's weakness, and he needed to take advantage of it. But what made him not optimistic was that the other party was only at level 8. Once he reached level 9, wouldn't his combat strength be even stronger? At that time, wouldn't he be able to slaughter the majority of the natives? At this moment, not only were the divine generals shocked by Zichun's strength, but even the natives had to take him seriously. Cax was killed. Kang Mo's request was considered to have been fulfilled. Kang Mo looked back at Kappa and said, "Let's go. I want to know something about my father." Kappa glanced at Zichun hesitantly, but no matter what, he couldn't bring himself to say that he wanted to enter the city with him alone. Speaking of Zichun's strong combat strength, even he was extremely shocked. There was no doubt that he was a very terrifying existence. If they couldn't make use of him and turn him into an enemy, it would be a complete disaster for them. Moreover, after seeing Zichun's methods, he had another idea in his heart, or rather, an ambition. Zichun's group naturally followed Kang Mo. The reason why Kang Mo didn't make 2 requests, saying that he wanted to bring Zichun's group into the city with him, was that he didn't want to be separated from them at all. Moreover, Zichun couldn't possibly let Kang Mo enter Heaven Road City alone and be used by them. Previously, when he attacked, he took the initiative to show his strength and enter the situation. When you go back, tell your clansmen to come and pay a visit to the young master. The young master will temporarily live in my residence. When you vacate the city lord's residence, the young master will move in. Before leaving, Kappa said to Yue. At this time, those who were still alive all came out. Naturally, someone told Yue what happened in the Thunder Territory space. After learning that those level 9 experts were all killed by Zichun alone, his expression changed greatly again. Considering his own realm, Yue didn't say anything else, and left first with his people. When he left, he snorted coldly at Kang Mo. Naturally, he wouldn't be polite to him. Your father is locked up in the dungeon under the Alliance Chief's residence. This was the result of our efforts. The Yu clan is powerful and too arrogant. Kappa told him about Kang Mo's father, and also about the grudges with the Yu clan. At that time, the Yu clan insisted on rebelling. We were weak and couldn't stop them at all. At that time, the Yu clan recruited many powerhouses. In the war, your father was seriously injured, and some of the other clansmen died in battle, and some were imprisoned. Fortunately, our words had some weight, which saved the lives of your father and the other clansmen. At the same time, we've been trying our best to prevent them from looking for you in the outside world. Listening to Kappa talk about the past, Kang Mo shed tears sadly. The other party pushed all the blame to the Yu clan. Zichen didn't say anything and didn't raise any opinions. Obviously, at this time, it was not suitable for them to intervene. This place was not too far away from Heaven Road City. The group flew towards the city. When they reached the city gate, they found many people standing there. They were all aboriginals and seemed to be waiting for something. After seeing Zichen's group, their faces immediately showed excitement. "Greetings, young lord." Kang Yamo approached the city gate. Everyone began to salute with respectful expressions. In the distance, many god generals stopped and looked over curiously. "Where's Yushiyu? Why didn't he come out?" Kappa looked ahead and said lightly, "This kind of thing doesn't require the alliance chief to come out personally, right?" A person in front said, "This time, we received the alliance chief's order to personally welcome the young lord." Kappa said firmly, "This time, the young lord has returned. Next, our elder group will discuss the alliance chief's matter again. Go back and tell Yushiyu to vacate the alliance chief's residence." Chapter 2984. Zichun and Kang Yamo did not say anything about what happened at the city gate. Kappa had arranged everything. They were now living in Kappa's mansion, surrounded by many powerhouses for protection. If these people were in the divine realm, which one of them would not be a powerhouse who could call the wind and summon the rain? It was a pity that they were willing to become guards here. During this time, someone from the Alliance Master's mansion came to inform them that the young master could live there, but Kappa sternly refused. He scolded the person and said that the young master would only go there when the Alliance Master's mansion was truly empty. Clearly, Kappa was worried that Kang Yamo would encounter an accident on the first day of living in the Alliance Master's mansion. Sky Road City was the only city in the depths. It was large enough and was also the final destination of this region. All the powerhouses who came here would eventually gather here and wait for the gate to Sky Road to open. In this city, 7th-rank powerhouses could be seen everywhere, and they were the lowest-level existences who did menial work. There were many 8th-rank and 9th-rank powerhouses. The next day, when he went out, he heard the names of some familiar powerhouses. After asking, he found out that there were actually many ranked divine generals here. Any random 9th-rank powerhouse who came here this time, back in the divine realm, were almost all people on the roll of generals. Clearly, in these years, countless powerhouses on the roll of generals had gathered here, and because of the layout of this region, they could not enter the Sky Road. In the past few days, the entire city had been talking about Kang Yamo. It was clear that Heaven Road City would not be peaceful for a long time. These days, Zichen's group was led around the city in the name of admiring the scenery of Sky Road City. On this day, many elderly people came to Kappa's mansion. Clearly, after a few days of observation, they had finally made a move. In a spacious conference hall, the old man Kappa sat upright. After waiting outside for decades, he finally saw the young master come out safely. His attitude immediately changed greatly, becoming very unyielding. These days, he did not go out and stayed at home. Last time, he had scolded the people who came to the Alliance Master's mansion. On both sides of the long jade table sat some old people. They were all elders of the Alliance, and each of them represented a faction. "Kappa, what's going on with my big brother Kes?" After everyone was seated, an old man who looked somewhat similar to Kes spoke. He was disrespectful to the young master, so he died. Kappa didn't even lift his eyelids as he lightly said, "I want to know how my brother died." The other party said coldly, "We won't let him die for no reason. Chris, if you're here to talk about this matter, then you can go outside and wait for us to finish discussing other things. Then we will talk about Kel's disrespect to the young master." Kappa said again. The old man named Carrie snorted coldly. Of course, he wouldn't leave. So many people had seen what happened last time. If he wanted to know, he would naturally be able to find out. Moreover, it had already been a few days. He obviously didn't come here to investigate this matter. At this moment, he brought it up again just to fight for more benefits. "Kappa, what do you mean by this?" An old man sitting at the side asked. Kappa said with a straight face, "Alliance Master has been wronged and is still in prison. All these years, I have not been able to eat or sleep well. Now that the young master has returned, I feel that we should reinvestigate what happened that year because the young master has the right to know the truth. The others were silent. Everyone knew their purpose of finding the young master. At this moment, Kappa's straight face made people laugh. How do we investigate? Someone asked. Of course we will investigate slowly. But before that, I feel that there is a need to discuss and remove Yushiyu's position as the temporary alliance master. That year, they had kept an eye on him. Yushiyu was only a temporary alliance master, and not a complete replacement. Even though this temporary replacement had been around for a long time, and was even more arrogant than the previous alliance master. Elders, there are a total of 36 people, and we only have 14 here. It is obvious that we do not have the advantage. Another elder said, why don't we go and negotiate with the Yu family? All these years, they have been controlling Heaven's Road and have gained too much benefits. It is time for them to give up some benefits. Some people nodded in agreement. To them, this was the best way to maximize the benefits. There was no need to fight, as long as the benefits were in their hands. Kappa looked at the few people who nodded and said coldly, you guys are really greedy people who have not seen the world. If negotiations were useful, would we have been passive for so many years? Kappa looked around and said, if the Yu family agrees, what should we do? Ignore the life and death of the Alliance Master? Kill the young master? Let's not talk about whether this is in line with the spirit of humanity. What if the Yu family goes back on their word? What should we do to them? Condemn them for not keeping their word? At that time, they will be gone. What's the use of condemning them? The others fell silent. Obviously, this was what they were most worried about, but it seemed that they had no other way. Obviously, they could not win in a bloody battle. Moreover, the losses were too great. No one was willing. Just as the elders were discussing the progress of the matter, Zichun entered a tavern and saw Wei by the window on the left. He walked over to Wei and sat opposite him. Wei picked up the wine jug and filled Zichun's cup. He said, what do you think? Zichun took the wine cup and said, I haven't made a move yet. Those people are still suspicious of each other. Wei said, actually, I came here this time to remind you not to be anxious. Your combat strength is very strong. Now, you have the ability to kill a rank 9, but you are still a rank 8. I suggest you break through to rank 9 first. Zichun smiled bitterly and said, I just broke through to rank 8. How can I break through so quickly? Wei smiled mysteriously and said, you do? Zichun's eyes lit up. He said, what do you mean? Wei said, although the Yu family has been suppressing the alliance all these years, they have some good things in their hands. As long as one family takes out some, it shouldn't be difficult to help you break through to rank 9. It won't take too long. Obviously, this was Wei reminding Zichun to fight for his own interests before he entered the game. Remember to inform me when you are going to make a move. The Yu family is very powerful. These years, they have recruited many powerhouses. I believe you have already experienced it in the lightning space, Wei said. Zichun nodded. His expression became serious. Dealing with a huge aristocratic family was no small matter. After the last time when the world was suppressed, he had become much more cautious. Not to mention how much his combat strength would decrease when the world was suppressed. At the very least, he would lose the ability to protect his companions. After parting with Wei, Zichun met up with everyone and walked toward Kappa's mansion. Several days passed, but Kappa did not come to find Kong Amo. These days, people would come to Kappa's mansion every day. Similarly, they did not come to meet the young master they recognized. After a month, Kappa brought some strangers to meet the young master. Obviously, at this moment, not only did they recognize Kong Mo's identity as the young master, they had also reached some kind of agreement. Chapter 2985. The people Kappa had brought were all here to see Kong Amo. They were like kind elders. When they talked with Kong Amo, they asked about his well-being, lamented the friendship they had with his father, and then scolded the Yu family for being a good-for-nothing. Zichun stood to one side, his expression unchanged. He had seen many people who were good at acting, and all kinds of people had no bottom line, so he was not surprised. If they really cared about Kong Amo, they would have come long ago. If they really wanted to save Kong Mo's father, they would not have waited until now. Kangamo stood there, uneasy. He had never felt such an atmosphere, and he was somewhat repulsed. Besides, he did not trust these people. The familiarity of these people made him extremely uncomfortable, so he cast a pleading look at Zichun. Zichun said, "Elders, if you have something to say, just say it." Although Zichun had seen through their intentions, these elders were not angry. They sat up straight and their expressions became serious. Kappa said, "Next, we are going to hold an elders' council to withdraw Yushiyu from the position of acting alliance leader, and then let the young master take the position." Zichun smiled and said, "Everything depends on the elders' arrangement." Kappa was obviously not satisfied with this answer and continued, "But Yushiyu has been the alliance leader for too long, so naturally he is not satisfied. We are worried that the young master will be in trouble." Zichun said seriously, "Elders, please rest assured. With me here, no one can hurt the young master." Before coming, they obviously had some understanding of Zichun, and because of Zichun, they even had fierce arguments and great disagreements. In the original plan, they had used Kangamo to threaten the Yu family and fight for greater benefits for them. But because of the appearance of Zichun, these people, led by Kappa, decided not to fight for benefits, but to hold them firmly in their hands. After a long discussion, they decided to take a gamble and bet on Zichun. However, Zichun's nonchalant attitude towards this matter was different from what they had expected. Kappa looked at the disinterested Zichun and said, "Young friend, do you know why the Yu family attacked the alliance leader back then?" Zichun calmly replied, "Naturally, it's for the sake of benefits." Kappa said, "That's true, but do you know what benefits it is for?" Zichun shook his head cooperatively, indicating that he did not know. Kappa said, "Back then, the Alliance Master was in control of the key to open the heavenly road. The reason why the Yu clan acted against the Alliance Master was because of that key. All these years, the Yu clan has relied on the Heaven's Path key to cut off the path to the Divine King domain for Yu divine generals, and used this to recruit many experts, using them to gain benefits." Zichun remained indifferent. Wei had already informed him of this matter. "If you don't have the key, you won't be able to leave this place and will be trapped here forever. Unless you join the Yu clan like the other experts and wait for the Yu clan to open the Heaven Path and let you in." Kappa said, "In the past, we still had some quotas, but later on, we no longer had any." The other elders didn't say anything and just looked at Zichun. Kangamo didn't know what they were talking about. His face was blank. Zichun chuckled. "If that's the case, isn't it a mistake for us to come here?" Kappa also laughed. "Now, many divine generals have joined the Yu clan. It's said that they are all experts on the rankings of your world. If you want to join, it's fine, but according to the quotas given by the Yu clan, if you want to leave, I'm afraid you'll have to wait hundreds of thousands of years. During this time, you'll still have to contribute to the Yu clan and plunder all kinds of resources. You'll be working like a horse. Most importantly, every time the Yu clan opens the Heaven Path, they'll send their own people over. During this process, you'll be the protectors of the rule contract. The Heaven Path is full of dangers, and you'll have to protect others. Naturally, your chances of survival are slim." This was what Wei didn't tell Zichun. Clearly, this was the main reason why he didn't choose to join the Yu clan. "What are you trying to say?" Zichun looked at Kappa and asked. "Your combat strength is very strong. You can kill a 9th rank as an 8th rank, so we want to work with you to deal with the Yu clan. As long as the Yu clan is destroyed and we get the key, we'll send you away," Kappa said. Kappa said, compared to asking for a few spots from the Yu clan, they would rather have complete control. Zichun didn't immediately respond. These old things wanted to use him as a hired thug, but until now, they hadn't mentioned his benefits. Zichun was silent. Kappa said again, this time, "I came more to ask for your opinion and see if you have this idea. If you do, we'll act together. If not, we'll act because we want to save the Alliance Master. This is our goal. Moreover, the key originally belonged to the Alliance Master. After we save him, the key will naturally belong to him." The Alliance Master they were talking about was Kong Mo's father. At this moment, Kong Mo's face revealed a nervous expression. Zichun thought for a moment, then said, "Then you guys go. I don't have this idea for now." Kappa said mockingly, "I thought you followed the young master here to help him." I didn't expect you to have no intention of helping. What a pity. Zichen said with a smile. It is indeed a pity. Although we have the intention, our strength is too weak. Naturally, we won't be a match for those powerhouses. I originally planned to wait until I break through to rank 9. Since you guys want to act, then it's best. Turning his head to look at Kang Emo, Zichen said with a smile, Kang Emo, quickly thank these elders. They're going to fight the Yu clan to the death and save your father. Thank you, elders. Kang Emo immediately expressed his gratitude. He was very sincere. Compared to these people, he naturally trusted Zichen more. These elders were stunned when they heard this. They obviously didn't expect Zichen to have such an attitude. Facing Kang Mo's thanks, they just smiled awkwardly. Their original intention was to borrow Zichen's strength. If Zichen didn't act, they naturally wouldn't have the guts to do so. If they did, they definitely wouldn't have waited until now. Kappa thought for a moment, then sighed and said, to be honest, our strength is really limited. This time, we also want to borrow some of your strength, because we know that you have the strength to deal with a rank 9. You just said that the Yu clan controls many powerhouses on the role of generals. Their influence is huge. Zichen shook his head and said, I still say the same thing. I won't act before I reach rank 9. Even if I reach rank 9, this trip will be full of danger. An elder beside him asked, how long will it take for you to reach rank 9? I don't know. Probably 10 to 20,000 years. For a divine general's long life, 10 to 20,000 years was really too short. However, it was obvious that these people didn't want to wait that long. They looked at each other, communicating with their eyes. We'll provide the resources for you to break through to rank 9. But there's a condition. You must guarantee that you can kill Yu Shiyu, Kappa said in a low voice. Chapter 2986. After listening to Wei Li's suggestion, Zichen was waiting for this sentence. Speaking of which, these people wanted to use him to destroy the Yu family. How could they not take out some benefits? After the initial deal was reached, these people prepared to leave. Zichen said again, I also need a set of custom-made battle armor. Kappa said, later, I'll get someone to sense your energy attribute, and then let them start refining it. Zichen said, Kang Emo will tell you the materials used later. I want the world's top materials. We have a lot of top materials in the Alliance. The main thing is that you can use them. Kappa was very generous this time. He asked again, what else do you need? Once we kill Yu Shiyu, I believe we will leave. Naturally, there is nothing else we want. But before that, in order to reduce casualties, I need you to refine a set of custom-made battle armor for each of my friends. Zichen thought about it and said again. Kappa's intention was to be polite, but he did not expect Zichen to really make a request. Moreover, he wanted dozens of sets of battle armor. The expressions of the other elders became extremely ugly. This was simply too much, wasn't it? Taking in everyone's expressions, Zichen said, there is still a long time. You guys should think about it. After all, this is not a small matter. We have dozens of people, and it was not easy for us to get to where we are today. I will be sad if anyone dies. Of course, it would be best if we don't have to fight. I can slowly wait for everyone to break through. The group left and returned to Kappa's residence. An elder said angrily, he's too greedy. It's just a small matter, and he wants dozens of custom-made battle armor. Moreover, we have to sacrifice precious resources this time. The battle hasn't even started yet, and we have to pay such a huge price. This is not worth it. Isn't that so? We still don't know if he can kill Yu Shiyu. The other elders also complained. Their expressions became very gloomy and ugly. They were already very shrewd that they did not fly into a rage at Zichen on the spot. Speaking of custom-made battle armor, in the current Heaven Road City, many people begged them to refine it with resources. There was still a long line waiting. Zichen, on the other hand, wanted dozens of sets. Kappa looked at the angry people and said, think about it. What if he suddenly doesn't want to? All the elders were stunned when they heard this. Unwilling? How is this possible? They had already negotiated the price. But soon, they understood Kappa's true meaning, so they all fell silent. That's right. Normally, even if they were willing to take out these resources, even if it was twice as much. No one would dare to make a move against the Yu family. Since the problem at hand could be solved with resources, it was naturally not a problem. If the resources were gone, he could still obtain more. If he really used these resources to exchange for Yu Shiyu's life, he would have made a huge profit. After figuring this out, the old man felt much better. Next, it was time to discuss the details of who would get how much resources. During this period, it was inevitable that there would be more arguments. 3 days later, the cultivation resources were delivered to Zichun. This was a higher-grade resource than thunderstones. It was extremely rare, and even the Alliance didn't have many of them. Zichun took these resources and began to cultivate in seclusion. However, he did not have much hope of breaking through to rank 9, because there were not many resources. After Kang Imo sensed the quality of the energy, Luo Yi and the others also began to cultivate in seclusion. They refined thunderstones. As for Kang Imo, he designed armor that suited everyone's needs and then handed it over to the Alliance to refine. With the backing of the entire Alliance, the speed of refining the armor was naturally very fast. A message came from Heaven Road City. It was jointly released by more than a dozen elders in the Alliance. They had recently investigated the past and made new discoveries. They said that they had wronged the Alliance Master back then, and that the Alliance Master had been framed by the Yu family. At the same time, there was also a statement. In this statement, they sternly stated that Yu Shiyu was only the acting Alliance Master. Now that the young master had returned, they strongly demanded that Yu Shiyu immediately resign from the position of acting Alliance Master and move out of the Alliance Master residence. If he did not move out, they would strongly condemn him. This was obviously a conflict between the natives. The Divine Generals could only watch the show. However, the elders who had always swallowed their anger were now so radical. This made many people feel that the atmosphere was unusual. Clearly, Heaven Road City, which had been peaceful for a long time, was going to be turbulent again. Although Yu Shiyu was the acting Alliance Master, he had been the acting Alliance Master for more than 10,000 years. He had long regarded the Alliance Master residence as his home. The so-called acting Alliance Master had been tossed beyond the 9 heavens by him. After a person reported the latest news to him, he nodded and said, "Let those clowns do what they want. There's no need to pay attention to them." The messenger bowed respectfully and left. Yu Shiyu walked towards the side hall. He stopped in front of a mural of a divine tiger and gently pressed on the eye. The power of law surged in front of him. The space there distorted and the mural split apart, revealing a passage. Yu Shiyu walked into the passage. The passage led downwards. The stone walls on both sides were inlaid with luminous pearls that illuminated the passage. At the bottom of the passage, there was a room. Yu Shiyu pushed open the door and entered a space. This was an extremely large space. There was a huge ball of light in the space. A person stood in the ball of light. This was a middle-aged man with a cold expression. He wore a purple robe, and his face was unhealthy white. He stood in the ball of light. "Kang Hongya, they finally attacked me." Yu Shiyu came out of the space and said to the middle-aged man through the ball of light. The other party was Kang Hongya, Kang Mo's father, and the former Alliance Master. Kang Hongya turned back and glanced at Yu Shiyu without saying anything. They thought they had something to rely on, but they didn't expect that in my eyes. They were just clowns. Yu Shiyu sneered and said, "Back then, you tried so hard to let your silly son escape. I'm afraid you didn't expect this day to come, right? You should feel lucky that your silly son has a divine general called Zichun next to him. His combat strength is extremely strong. He can kill a 9th-grade martial artist as an 8th-grade martial artist and even break an 8th-grade martial artist domain. If it wasn't for him, your silly son would have been used as a bargaining chip by them and sent to my residence to exchange for benefits. But it's not much better now because they used your silly son's reputation to deal with me. Of course, it's in the name of saving you. Come and analyze for me. If they succeed, what will the fate of you and your silly son be?" Chapter 2987. Kang Hongya was trapped in this space and remained silent. Yu Shiyu stood outside the space and laughed sarcastically. "So, no matter what the result is, your Kang family will be destroyed this time. The final result will be death." Looking at the unresponsive Kang Hongya, Yushiyu said, "Those old fogies all think that you're still alive because of them. They've always wanted to use the fact that you're still alive to control me. Don't you know how ridiculous this is? After so many years, if I wanted to kill, you and your few clansmen would have died countless times. Now that your foolish son is back, they finally made a move, but no matter what the result is, you all have to die. Tell me the secret of Heaven's Road, and I will let your foolish son go, or let him live in this dispute." Yushiyu had asked this question many times, so naturally he could not get the answer he wanted. In the end, he said with a smile, "I have waited for so many years, so I don't mind waiting for 2 more years. When I catch your foolish son, let's see if you can still keep silent like now. I look forward to the scene of you father and son meeting." Yushiyu laughed and left. Trapped in the space, Kang Hongya, who had been silent, showed a worried look for the first time. In the room, Zichun was refining a resource. It was a resource he did not know, like a 7-colored crystal, which contained pure and surging energy. When he was refining, he could clearly feel the strengthening of his body. The effect was much better than the Thunderstone. But when Zichun finished refining the first piece, he was very sure that these resources were not enough for him to break through. Kang Imo was very busy these days. He had been busy refining the armor. He had been in the team for a long time and knew everyone very well. For example, Zichun's energy and fighting style. Therefore, when they were drawing the armor, they added a pair of boxing gloves. The patterns on the boxing gloves were connected to the armor. This way, it would still be a set of armor, and his fighting strength would be stronger. The same thing was obviously not suitable for everyone, such as Zhang Haoyan. He was only suitable for light and agile things, not for heavy equipment that affected speed and pursued power. Everyone's armor was different in shape, but all of them were able to maximize their strength. After drawing the patterns of these battle armors, Kang Imo would give them to Kappa and at the same time follow Kappa to find the corresponding materials. He was also very serious about looking for materials. Every one of them was the best and had the fewest flaws. Regarding this, Kappa didn't say anything. The rumors in the city continued. Every once in a while, there would be an unfavorable matter brought up by the elders. These were all the evil deeds of the Yu clan. At the same time, the Elders Guild also began to recruit. The entire Heaven's Road city had a different atmosphere, which was a sign of a great war. Under such circumstances, the divine generals in the city began to hesitate whether they should choose a side because this would determine whether they would leave or not. As the elders issued one statement after another, some rumors began to circulate in the city. For instance, the Council of Elders had recruited a certain person. This person's combat strength was extremely strong and could even break through the natives' restraining domains. Once he took action, the Yu family would be utterly defeated. This news spread like wildfire, so much so that the Council of Elders took the opportunity to recruit some powerhouses. The Yu family had remained silent. Due to the deliberate exaggeration of the elders, the Yu family's silence turned into fear. Yushiyu still hadn't left the Alliance Master residence. In the eyes of some people, this was the Yu family's most powerful counterattack. Time passed. The elders still issued a statement every once in a while, but they didn't make any other big moves. This situation continued for 5 years, and the divine generals in the city became accustomed to it. The Elders Guild's behavior, which was all bark and no bite, attracted many people's ridicule. Then, another 5 years passed. The Elders Guild didn't even issue a statement anymore, because they had dug up almost everything the Yu family had done behind the scenes. Now, there was nothing left to say. Furthermore, the Yu family didn't respond at all. It was as if they were punching the air. After 10 years of punching, they had long lost the energy to do so. Now, they were waiting. They were waiting for Zichun to break through and for the battle armor to be successfully refined. These days, there had been other elders in Kappa's residence. They were asking when Zichun would break through. "Let's talk about it after the battle armor is refined," Kappa replied indifferently. In fact, he was also a little anxious. However, it had only been 10 years. Compared to the endless life of a divine general, 10 years was just a snap of the fingers. At this time, Kang Imo came to Kappa to ask for resources. "What resources?" Kappa asked doubtfully. The resources that Big Brother used to break through are now gone, Kangamo said. It's only been 10 years and it's gone? Are you kidding me? An elder next to him widened his eyes in disbelief. Kangamo said calmly, Big Brother's refining speed is very fast. He also needs a lot of resources to break through. He said that if there are no resources, then he will refine thunderstones, but the speed will be much slower. The elders who came showed anger on their faces. They thought that Zichun was cheating them of their resources. Kappa said indifferently, Go get the resources. When the elders heard this, their faces were naturally ugly. In the years when they were suppressed by the Yu family, the resources they received were really limited. Taking out those 10 years ago had already made them feel heartache. Seeing Kappa's attitude, they had to go back and get the resources first. Kangamo took the resources back, and Zichun continued to refine them. In fact, those resources had been refined a long time ago. He had been refining thunderstones, so the effect was naturally slower than refining the resources. Kangamo didn't bring back many resources, but it was already very impressive that he could get them. After Zichun thanked him, he continued to refine. Although he knew that it was still impossible to break through, it could at least make his battle strength stronger. In just 5 years, Zichun had finished refining all the resources he had. This time, it was naturally impossible to ask for more, so he began to refine thunderstones. In the Alliance leader's residence, the acting Alliance leader Yushiyu sat in a Taisher chair. In front of him stood a rank 7 divine general with a respectful expression. Is the news true? Yushiyu asked. Don't worry, Alliance leader. I saw it with my own eyes. The batch of battle armor is about to be completed, the rank 7 said respectfully. How long will it take? Less than half a year. Very good. You may leave. Yushiyu waved his hand, and the rank 7 respectfully left. After pondering for a while, Yushiyu said, Come in. What orders does the Alliance leader have? A native walked in. Chapter 2988. The news released by the Yu clan caused an uproar in the city. Everyone was shocked. It hadn't been long since the last time the Gate of Heaven Road opened. Under normal circumstances, it shouldn't open so soon. And what was extremely rare was that there were actually 50 extra slots. This was extremely good news for the divine generals who had been in the city for a long time. The registration would begin in half a year, and now they couldn't wait. When he heard the news, Kappa was discussing with the elders about when to attack the Alliance leader mansion. 50 slots. This time the Yu clan is really generous. Kappa smiled coldly and said, It seems that they are afraid. The other elders were silent, their expressions constantly changing. How long until their armor is made? Kappa asked. Less than half a year. An elder said. Then it's just in time. Kappa said. Next, everyone should gather some resources. I am preparing to let Zichun break through to a new realm in this last year. Kappa's words made the others stunned, and then their expressions became ugly. One of the elders shook his head and said, Our Fei clan can't take out any more resources. Our C clan can't either. Another elder said, These years, we have been constantly suppressed by the Yu clan. Our resources are getting less and less. The others naturally expressed the same meaning, which was that they were poor and had no resources. Since that's the case, then forget it. After the armor is made, I will go find Zichun and urge him to fight. Everyone else nodded and took their leave. This was the first time they left in such a hurry after confirming that they would join forces to deal with the Yu clan. Usually, they couldn't be chased away. After everyone left, the smile on Kappa's face disappeared, and he coldly snorted, What a bunch of short-sighted fellows. It's only 50 slots, and they are tempted. Kappa was very clear about what these people were thinking when they left in such a hurry. But he was very disdainful because it was only 50 slots. It was completely like charity. His goal was greater. In the following time, the Alliance leader mansion, which had been quiet for a while, became lively again. People from all walks of life came to visit. Among these people, there were naturally people from the Alliance. However, the Alliance master refused to see them. Everyone was blocked outside by the steward. The steward only said one thing. If you want a spot, You have to register in half a year. Those people had come in high spirits, but returned in disappointment. Naturally, they couldn't avoid cursing the Yu family in secret. Half a year's time, to some people, passed quickly. However, to those who were waiting for a spot, it was too slow. On this day, Kappa went to look for Zichun. This was the first time that he had taken the initiative to look for Zichun since he had entered seclusion. Clearly, this action also had the intention of letting Zichun come out of seclusion. Zichun opened his eyes, which flashed with the light of thunder. After all these years of meditation and refinement, he had not made a breakthrough in his cultivation level, but his combat strength had increased by quite a bit. Kappa was waiting for him in the living room. Kongimo was sitting next to him. Zichun walked into the living room and saw Kappa. "Congratulations," Kappa said with a smile. Zichun had not made a breakthrough, but his combat strength had increased, so the congratulations were not wrong. Zichun nodded and expressed his thanks. "The armor has been completely refined. This time, I came to personally deliver the armor and also to tell you something." Kappa took out the armor, which flashed with the light of thunder. One of the main materials of this armor was thunderstone, which could greatly increase Zichun's combat strength. "What does Elder want to say?" Seeing the armor, Zichun nodded with satisfaction. A flash of light appeared in his hand, and he directly put away the armor. "The Yu family has released news that the gate to Heaven's path has opened again. This time, 50 spots have been announced to the public. Now, the divine generals in the city have already begun to register," Kappa said. "Oh, was it like this before?" Zichun asked. Kappa shook his head and said, "In the past, it was never announced to the public. It was even more impossible for them to give out extra spots. I think they are afraid and want to use this opportunity to recruit more experts." Zichun pondered for a moment, then said, "Elder, what do you want me to do?" Kappa said, "It's not what I want you to do, but whether you are prepared to do it or not. Heaven's path isn't something that can be opened just because one wants to, even if they have the key. It is said that the gate to Heaven's path needs to be filled with energy. When the energy reaches a certain level, it will open. It has only been a few hundred years since the last time it opened. This time, the Yu family will have to pay a price. Once they succeed, even if they get the key, they will have to wait for at least 2,000 years to open it again." Obviously, Zichun needed to make a choice, and this choice was whether to wait for 2,000 years or not. If he waited, he believed that after 2,000 years, his realm would definitely break through, and so would his friends. At that time, it would be easy to take down the Yu family. Now, this was not the only problem. There was also Kongimo. What if the Yu family killed Kong Mo's father in these 2,000 years? They wouldn't do it in the past, but not now. At the same time, if he waited for 2,000 years, would there be any unforeseen events? For example, would those hostile heavenly god children attack them again? After seeing Zichun frown, Kappa didn't say anything. He didn't want to force Zichun. Everything depended on his choice. How long until the gate to Heaven's path opens? After a moment, Zichun asked. "Half a year," Kappa said. "I have to discuss it with my companions," Zichun said. "This is a big matter. Naturally, we have to discuss it." Kappa got up, took out another set of armor, and said, "If you decide, remember to tell me in advance so that we can arrange people to help." Kappa left. After taking in the expressions of Zichun and Kongimo, he could already guess Zichun's answer. After Kappa left, Zichun glanced at Kongimo. Kongimo nodded, then immediately stepped forward and picked up a set of armor to examine it. Behind him, he unfolded his domain and entered it with the armor. These armors were refined by others. Although the quality was excellent, Zichun didn't trust them. After leaving his own armor for Kongimo to examine, Zichun went to find everyone. Everyone woke up from their seclusion. Although they had refined countless thunderstones, it was obviously unrealistic to want to break through again in a short time. Zichun talked about the recent situation, then looked at everyone and said, "What are you going to do?" The others were silent. Chapter 2989. Monk spoke passionately and righteously. His expression was indescribably serious. Devil Ape glanced at him and said, "Although I know your intention is to fight, I still agree with you. Not to mention other reasons, Just the fact that Kong Mo's father was captured is enough reason for us to take action. Zichen looked at everyone. They had followed him for many years and participated in many battles. Naturally, they had encountered dangers and even died. The battle before them was not as simple as an ordinary battle. They were going against a powerful force. During this time, they would encounter countless powerhouses, and they were all powerhouses on the ranking list. They were only at the 8th rank. Under the situation of a huge gap between their ranks, this battle would not only not be optimistic, but people would also die. In a situation where everyone was risking their lives, he had no reason not to ask for everyone's opinion. I have no objection, Thunder said. If we want to grow quickly, besides refining resources, fighting is also a shortcut. Me too, said Xingchen. Brilliant and Bright Moon did not speak. The four of them had the same thought. No one would have any objection. They had grown up fighting and were not afraid of fighting. Now that they had a reason to fight, they naturally had to fight. Su Mingyao finally said, "Let's think of a countermeasure to minimize the losses." The matter was settled. Everyone agreed to fight. When they entered the living room, Kong Mo had already retreated from the domain. Before Zicheng could ask, Kong Mo said, "They really did something. There is an inconspicuous inscription formation in each of these armors." Zichen's expression did not change much. He asked, "What is the function of these patterns?" "Destruction." Kong Mo said, "When the pattern is activated, the armor will self-destruct. If you wear the armor, your life will be in danger when the armor is destroyed." "Can it be removed?" asked Zichen. "Yes. The pattern is important in its concealment. As long as it is discovered, it is not difficult to remove," said Kong Mo. Zichen said, "Remove it quickly. After you're done, we will fight." Kong Mo said hesitantly, "Big brother, are you really going to fight?" Zichen nodded and said, "We can't back down from this battle. But the way they treat Big brother." Zichen patted Kong Mo's head and said with a smile, "It's nothing more than using each other. Let's see who will have the last laugh." The next day, Zichen informed Kappa that they would be participating in the battle and asked him if he had any plans. Kappa laughed and said that he would fully cooperate. Following that, Kappa continued, "For this battle, we do not have any other requests. We only have one thought, and that is to successfully rescue the Alliance leader. After the Yu clan is annihilated, we will fully support the Alliance Master. At the same time, the key must be handed to the Alliance Master." Zichen said in admiration, "Elder's actions truly make Zichen feel both admiration and shame. Rest assured, Elder, even if we die in battle this time, we will save the Alliance leader." Zichen bid farewell and left. Kappa signaled for the other elders to come and inform them that Zichen was going to make a move. When the elders heard this, they were very excited. Clearly, they had been preparing for this day for many years. "When are we going to make a move?" an elder asked impatiently. "Half a year later," Kappa said. "Since we're going to make a move sooner or later, why not now?" Zichen said that in the last half a year, they should make the best use of their time and try to see if they can break through. Hearing Kappa's words, the elders' expressions changed. One of them said, "He can't be thinking of asking us for resources again, right?" Kappa smiled. "Don't worry, he won't this time. It's good that he doesn't want resources. Otherwise, he would be too greedy." In the last half a year, it was naturally impossible for them to break through. This time was left for Kong Mo to break the patterns on the armor. After returning, Zichen informed them that the armor had been tampered with. Their expressions did not change much, and they did not even show any anger. They did not have any friendship with these elders. This was originally a game of mutual benefit, so there was naturally no need to talk about mutual trust. The battle will begin in half a year. During this time, everyone will continue to refine thunderstones. After leaving the residence, Zichen went to find Wei Li. The two met at the restaurant. Wei Li smiled and said, "At first, I was wondering if you would make a move this time. If you don't make a move this time, the next opportunity will be a few thousand years later." "Half a year later, we'll prepare to make a move," Zichen said. "Work with the Alliance?" Wei Li asked. Zichen shook his head and said, "No, we'll do it ourselves. The Alliance's people are unreliable. This is a fight for benefits. there's indeed no one you can trust. You, on the other hand, not only do you have to fight with the Yu family, but you also have to be careful of the people behind you, Whaley said. These years, I've secretly found some people, and they express their willingness to fight. Although there aren't many of them, they're definitely reliable. They're all rank 9. Zichen thought for a while and said, your people shouldn't make a move for now. I hope you can be responsible for protecting my friends in case they're plotted against. We're not afraid of a head-on battle. The only thing we're worried about is the backup in the dark. That's not a problem. Whaley thought for a while and said, but are you sure you don't need us to make a move? This time, you're going to deal with a huge aristocratic family? Not for now. The Alliance's people have to be of some use, Zichen said. I plan to let them deal with those rank 9 divine generals. On the day Zichen decided to fight, the Alliance leader's mansion received the news. A cold smile appeared on Yu Shiyu's face. There are too many powers in this city. Now, it's finally time to clean them up. Half a year? Then I'll let you live for another half a year. He looked outside and said, pass down the order. Add another 50 spots. The selection will begin in 5 months. A voice came from outside the door, but no one came out. Kang Imo didn't sleep or rest. He spent several months deciphering all the inscriptions on the armor. At the same time, he checked it again and again. After confirming that there were no abnormalities, he handed the armor to everyone. Everyone put on the armor and familiarized themselves with their fighting strength. In the blink of an eye, several months passed. In the Alliance leader's mansion, the selection for the 100 spots began. However, the steward hadn't said how the selection would be carried out. He just said to wait. Zichen put on the armor and walked out of the room. Monk and the others were already waiting outside. At this time, they were all wearing custom-made armor. Let's go. Zichen's gaze swept over the crowd and walked forward. Walking out of the courtyard, there were more than a dozen elders standing outside. The leader was Kappa. Behind these elders, there were more than 30 divine generals, all of whom were rank 9. Zichen, these people will be under your command, said Kappa. You have the final say on when to make a move. Chapter 2990. Morale was the most important thing in a battle. Zichen's words had obviously caused the team to lose its morale. After hearing Zichen's words, the divine generals all frowned. Kappa said with a smile, don't you have dozens of people behind you? I think it's enough. Besides, you don't need to destroy the Yu family. You just need to kill Yu Shiyu and save the leader. If it's not convenient for you to make a move during this period, let them cover you. You're mainly responsible for killing Yu Shiyu. That's right, Zichen. Speaking of which, they are the ones under the most pressure. They have to block the experts recruited by the Yu family for you. Relatively speaking, your pressure is the lightest, another elder said. Zichen said, that's right, but if I die, you won't have a good time, right? I don't believe that after this incident, with all of us dying in battle, you will still be able to survive unscathed. When the elders heard this, their expressions immediately changed. One of them shouted at Zichen, Zichen, what do you mean? We're the ones who gave you the resources and armor. Do you think you can threaten us before we've even fought? Threaten? Zichen sneered and said, if I threatened you, I would have gone to negotiate with Yu Shiyu. Why would I go through so much trouble? Besides, you have to sacrifice our lives? The elders' expressions changed again. Obviously, with Zichen's combat strength, if he went to Yu Shiyu, the other party would definitely accept him. Kappa hurriedly said, the battle is imminent. The most taboo is to say something unfavorable. Moreover, the morale of the army cannot be disrupted. How about this? I'll send 20 more people over. I believe it should be enough this time. Zichen did not say anything more to the elders. He looked at the divine generals in front of him and said, you came here earlier than me. It's fate that we can fight side by side today. Everyone, I hope we can all survive. The expressions of these indifferent godly generals changed. Zichen walked forward. Monk and the others followed him. The divine generals followed behind them. A total of 50 divine generals had come, all of them 9th grade. There was no telling how many of them were powerhouses from the ranking of generals. Their auras were tyrannical. Outside of Heaven Road City, each of them was equivalent to a legion commander like Blood Scorpion and Wei Li. Watching them leave, an elder asked, "What are we going to do?" Capper said, "Of course we're here to watch the battle and cheer for our people." As he spoke, he followed her. The other elders hesitated for a moment before following suit. Outside the Alliance chief residence, hundreds of rank 9s had gathered. They were all waiting for the assessment of the 100 slots. Although they didn't know why the Yu family was so generous this time, they were determined to get these 100 spots. On this day, the steward walked out of the Alliance head residence. He looked at these people and said, "Next, the 100 most courageous people will get these 100 spots." After saying that, the butler left, leaving behind a group of puzzled rank 9s. "What do you mean by the most heroic 100 people?" Puzzled, they soon found out the reason. An intense killing intent came from the horizon, and these killing intents gathered together. Looking at the person in front of them, the divine generals suddenly understood. So this was how the 100 spots came to be. They saw Zichun and the murderous people behind Zichun. They didn't know Zichun, but in the past few decades, they had heard about him. For example, he could kill a rank 9s above his level, break through the absolute domain of the natives, and the conflict between the Alliance and the Yu family a few years ago. It was obvious that the conflict in the past had evolved into a great battle today. The great battle had erupted today. The 100 most courageous people were the 100 who could survive the battle and get the spots in the end. As for the test, it was naturally to kill these people. At this moment, many people understood the Yu family's intentions, so they retreated without hesitation. They didn't think they could survive such a fierce battle. Compared to entering Heaven Road to become a divine king, they wanted to live more. Some chose to retreat, while others chose to stay. There was only one chance. Maybe they could get a spot if they fought for it. Of the hundreds of rank 9s, 60% left in an instant and 40% stayed. They stood guard outside the Alliance chief residence, obviously planning to fight. "Stop right there." One of the rank 9s shouted at Zichun at the front. Zichun naturally wouldn't stop. A light flashed in his hand, and a sheathed long saber appeared. "Stop right there. If you don't stop, don't blame us for being rude." The rank 9 said coldly. A cold light flashed in Zichun's eyes, and the long saber in his hand was unsheathed instantly. The saber light flashed and swept forward. In the face of more than 100 powerhouses, Zichun naturally wouldn't hold back. He attacked with all his might. An air-splitting saber appeared. The speed of the saber was fast enough, and it swept past the opponent's body. Blood splattered. The rank 9s were separated from their battle armor. Killed in one blow. There was an uproar all around. Among the remaining rank 9s, some immediately flew into the distance. Once they left, half of them were gone. There were still nearly 100 rank 9s left. Someone shouted, "Kill them, and the next spot will be ours. Enter Heaven Road and become a divine king." His words were loud and clear, but no one dared to step forward. When the group of elders at the back saw this scene, a satisfied expression appeared on their faces. The stronger Zichun's combat strength was, the greater their chances of success. "Back off." Zichun walked to a few hundred feet away from the rank 9s and said, "After I kill you Shiyu, I'll open Heaven Road. If you just want to enter Heaven Road and become a divine king, just step aside. If you continue to block the way, you'll die." The rank 9's expressions changed again. Many of them stepped aside, leaving only a few dozen people. Zichun's sheathed long saber appeared again. Poof! Another rank 9's was killed in front. It had to be said that Zichun's combat strength had become more powerful after he had the custom-made battle armor. The strongest rank 9s were no longer a threat to him. Sheathing his long saber, he walked forward, his right hand on the saber hilt. When the other rank 9s saw this, they all retreated. After 2 attacks, he forced the crowd to retreat. The door of the Alliance chief residence was empty. Zichun walked forward. During this time, no one dared to stop him. A ray of light flew out from his body and landed on the door of the Alliance chief residence. The door opened with a bang. Zichun turned and walked through the door. His expression did not relax at all. Instead, it became more solemn. Because those people outside were not people of the Alliance chief residence at all. The real enemies were all in this residence. The moment Zichun entered the residence, a loud shout came from outside. The Alliance Chief will deal with that person. If we kill the others, the spot will still be ours. Hearing this voice, Zichun knew that the team was in trouble. Chapter 2991. The moment of danger had arrived. Zichun's expression became very solemn. Listening to the battle cries outside and sensing the energy fluctuation, he did not retreat in the end. The Yu clan's move was brilliant. Not a single person from their side came, but they blocked all the people he brought outside. Now, he went in alone and had to face all the Yu clan's powerhouses. In front of Zichun, 3 rank 9s appeared. They were all wearing custom-made armor. It was undeniable that they were once powerhouses on the list to be recruited by the Yu clan. Lightning flashed on Zichun's body as he rushed forward with his saber. Cold light shot out from the 3's eyes. Divine weapons appeared in their hands as they slashed at Zichun. The moment Zichun entered the Alliance Chief residence, at the highest point of the residence, Alliance Chief Yu Shiyu stood there and watched him. Beside him was Yu Wei, looking respectful. How many times do you think he can use that kind of move? Yu Shiyu asked, his voice indifferent. According to the information we received, no more than 10 times. Yu Wei said, even if he has improved over the years, he can only attack more than 20 times. At that time, he will definitely run out of energy and no longer have combat strength. If that's the case, why did he come here? In Yu Shiyu's eyes, Zichun had already attacked. His figure dodged and shifted, and 3 sabers appeared. 3 rank 9s fell and died. His combat strength was indeed powerful. Yu Wei also saw this scene and immediately said, he should be relying on his tyrannical battle strength to intimidate our people and directly deal with the Alliance Master. At this time, another 5 rank 9s appeared. Their expressions were cold. They did not show the slightest bit of fear because of the previous 3 deaths. As soon as they met, they attacked with their strongest moves. The wind and clouds above the Alliance Chief residence began to change. A terrifying aura filled every corner. The battle here was not like the outside world. Here, life and death were determined with one move. Therefore, everyone attacked with full strength, not daring to hold back. Under Yu Shiyu and Yu Wei's gaze, Zichun attacked 5 times. His speed was as if he teleported, dodging 5 attacks. He killed 5 rank 9s without a scratch. How many sabers? Yu Shiyu asked. 10 blades. Just as Yu Wei was replying, another rank 9s appeared ahead. This time, there were a total of 10 rank 9s. Looking at the 10 9th rank martial artists, Yu Shiyu said, if they also die, send our people. Yu Wei thought for a moment. With the death of these 10 people, Zichun had already struck out 20 times. When he was exhausted, the rest of them would take action, and they would definitely be able to kill them. As for him wanting to kill the Alliance leader, that was simply a joke. 10 rank 9s working together was naturally a super strong combat force. This time, the number of times Zichun attacked became much slower. He just kept dodging with extreme speed. The 10 rank 9s gave him quite a bit of pressure. His attacks had become extremely cautious, but every strike was still able to kill. Seeing this, Yu Wei's expression became very relaxed. This was because Zichun's actions clearly showed that he had expended a lot of energy. Chi. Saber after saber struck out one after another. The saber gleam like a waterfall swept past the rank 9s' bodies one after another. These custom-made armors with extremely strong defense seemed to have lost their original defensive effect in front of Zichun's saber. One after another, the rank 9s fell and died. Yu Shiyu's expression did not change, but Yu Wei was extremely shocked. A mere rank 8s already had such strength. Once he advanced to rank 9s, wouldn't he be even stronger? This kind of combat force was definitely the first among the divine generals in this world. It would even pose a certain threat to the natives. In the blink of an eye, 20 blades had passed. 20 rank 9s divine generals had died. Has he exhausted his energy to the limit? Yu Wei looked at Zichun, whose expression did not change at all, and a trace of doubt appeared on his face. Last time, Zichun had only struck out a few times, and he had already expended a lot of energy. That time, Zichen had appeared to have expended a lot of energy because Zichen did not know anything about Sky Road City, let alone the power structure. Naturally, he had to hold back. This time, he came here only to kill Yushiyu. Naturally, he did not hold back. After killing 20 divine generals, Zichen's expression was still cold as he walked forward. Only one person appeared in front of him, not more people as Zichen had expected. The Yu family had recruited many rank 9's divine generals. There were at least 200 of them. So far, they had only sent out 18 before they stopped. The person in front of him was an aboriginal. He looked coldly at Zichen and said, "You must have expended a lot of energy. I'll kill you next." Zichen did not speak. He took a step forward. The ground around him trembled. The custom-made armor on his body shone. All the lines lit up, and an incomparably powerful aura surged. Yin and Yang energy and thunder energy filled his body at this moment. The aboriginal opposite him felt a suffocating aura coming at him. He knew very well that Zichen had killed an aboriginal before, so he could not be careless and held up his domain. This was an absolute domain. It could be used to refine weapons, and it could also restrain all the divine generals who came to this world. Standing in the absolute domain, the natives' confidence grew. Yushiyu and Yue looked down from a high place. They saw Zichen instantly draw his saber. A bright light appeared in the entire Alliance leader residence. The light illuminated every corner, causing the entire Alliance leader residence to begin to glow. Amidst the bright light, the saber landed on the absolute domain. Swish! There was no strong energy collision, nor was there an energy explosion. The saber swept past the absolute domain and hit a building behind it. The building split apart and collapsed with a bang. A hint of surprise flashed across Yushiyu's eyes. Yue's expression was full of shock. In front of Zichen, the domain on the aboriginal's body disappeared. His figure appeared with a bloody mark between his eyebrows. The bloody mark ran down from between his eyebrows and ran through his entire body. He stared at Zichen with wide eyes, his eyes filled with disbelief. Zichen walked forward. The aboriginal fell to the ground and died. It only took one strike. The absolute domain was broken. "This is impossible." Yue cried out in surprise. Yushiyu smiled faintly and said, "Then let's wait and see." In the Alliance leader residence, a man who was sitting quietly opened his eyes and walked out. When he came to the door, he saw Zichen. He unfolded his domain and rushed towards Zichen. Zichen drew his saber and slashed out. The saber light flashed, swept past the domain, swept past the body, and shattered another building. The second aboriginal was killed in one strike. Zichen's expression did not change. His aura was still calm, and he did not seem to have consumed a lot of energy. Then, the third aboriginal was killed. The fourth, fifth, and sixth aboriginal were killed. "This is impossible." Yue almost roared. He could not believe what he had seen. "Let's go and meet him." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.